50 Plus multivitamin. It's doctor formulated to support your energy, immune health, and overall vitality. Plus, it's made in the U.S. using the finest domestic and international ingredients. Take control of your health with supplements you can trust. Look for Neovitin Men's 50 Plus at your local Schnucks, Deerbergs, or online at neovitin.com. Neovitin, made for men who keep moving forward.
Welcome to Extra Innings, presented by Great Bar. Great Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. And by Circa Sports. Circa Sports. Sports betting the way it should be. On the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Weatherholt comes down the line. The pitch, a swing, and a fly ball. Short right field. That is going to drop, and a Redbird winner. The ball falls in front of Benj, and the Cardinals walk it off. The first RBI of the season for Mason Wynn. A looper that found the grass in right field, and they light it up in downtown St. Louis, with the Cardinals taking 2 out of 3 against the Mets, winning 2-1 today.
That first RBI for Mason Wynn could not have come at a better time. It's kind of funny because maybe the biggest controversy here early on in the season for the Cardinals has been the fact that Mason Wynn has been your number 4 hitter. Well, he comes up with a big hit. Now, admittedly, it was not exactly a hard hit ball. It found a spot just in the middle of a triumvirate of Mets there in shallow right field. But a hit's a hit, and the Cardinals get the win as they knock off the New York Mets 2-1, and they take 2 of 3 from a Mets team that has World Series aspirations. Welcome into the Circa Extra Inning Show right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley. We're not going to go long on this show. We'll go for just a few minutes, and then Kevin Wheeler will jump in, and we'll do a little bit of a Redbird Rush Hour, and then Sports Open Line will begin at 6 o'clock. And I always say on these weekday day games, if you want to call in, text in, tweet in, do all the interaction, we'll focus that on Sports Open Line. So certainly we'll give you time to comment on this game and this series and what it means for the Cardinals. But we're going to focus that on during a Sports Open Line, which will begin just after the 6 o'clock news here on KMOX. Do have a few things that we want to get to for sure. And so this is going to be an interesting take. Our insurance run of the game is sponsored by Lang Insurance in St. Charles, Missouri, proudly representing auto owners insurance. I'm getting a little bit wild here with this one, my version of wild. My insurance run of the game is actually going to be the run that didn't score. And here's what I mean by that. The Mets score their 1 run on a Juan Soto home run in the top of the 6th inning. The insurance run that didn't score was Francisco Lindor. Lindor is at first base, and he gets picked off. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the pickoff of Matthew Liberatore, but Lindor fell asleep. That was a straight mistake by Francisco Lindor. And there's never a guarantee that the exact same things are going to play out the way they are later on. But if Soto still hits that home run a moment later, it's a 2-run home run, not a solo shot. And this game is probably a Mets victory. Instead, it's a solo home run. It's the only run that scores for the Mets, and the Cardinals eventually win. So I'm taking liberties, but for the first time, our insurance run of the game is the run that did not score, as opposed to runs that do score. Appreciate you being a little bit creative with me today. Mason Wynn, that was his first career walk-off RBI. It came with the 2-out single there in the 11th inning. The fact that that is the first one of his career, very, very cool. So we are going to go ahead and call that our By the Numbers, which is sponsored by Bank of Springfield. Bank boldly, bank with BOS, member FDIC. And you look at some of these players who have done really impressive things here recently, the hot starts to the season. How about Thomas Saggese, who has now hit safely in all 4 career games against the Mets? How about Nolan Gorman, who has an RBI in 5 of his first 6 games of the season? And how about J.J. Weatherholt, who has reached base safely in his first 6 games, the longest streak by a Cardinal to begin their career since Jordan Walker did it in 12 straight games in 2023. They're all on a roll. Who's on a roll is sponsored by Circa Sports, sports betting the way it should be. And then finally, let's listen to this one more time. Mason Wynn comes up to the plate in the 11th inning, runner at third. There's 2 outs. He comes through in a big way. It is our cut of the game.
Weatherholt comes down the line. The pitch, a swing and a fly ball, short right field. That is going to drop, and a Redbird winner. The ball falls in front of Benj, and the Cardinals walk it off. The first RBI of the season for Mason Wynn, a looper that found the grass in right field, and they light it up in downtown St. Louis, with the Cardinals taking 2 out of 3 against the Mets, winning 2-1 today.
The cut of the game is sponsored by The Diamond Shop, thediamondshop.net. That's it for a shortened edition of the Extra Innings Show, but you don't want to go anywhere. We've got Redbird Rush Hour coming up in just a moment. Our post-game coverage continues. Kevin Wheeler will be here as well. And then I'm back with you solo from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock for Sports Open Line, and that's where we'll give you the opportunity to chime in. We've seen some tweets and some texts and things like that coming in. Make sure to stick with us all the way through Sports Open Line, because we will definitely address the messages that have come in today. Cardinals get the win. They knock off the New York Mets today, 2-1. Redbird Rush Hour on the way next here on KMOX.
The Diamond Shop, making St. Louis sparkle for over 100 years, offers a wide selection of engagement and wedding rings, fine jewelry, and watches to suit your style and budget. Visit us at 12 North Central Avenue or schedule a virtual appointment at thediamondshop.net.
Hey, Missouri, it's game time. Start betting like a pro with the world's largest sportsbook at your fingertips. Hi, I'm Derek Stevens. I'm a lifelong sports bettor, and I'm the owner of Circus Sports. It's sports betting the way it should be, with high limits, player-friendly pricing, exceptional customer service, and more. Download your new bookie at circusports.com. The action starts now, Missouri. Experience the difference with Circus Sports. Bet like a pro.
Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Life is full of bold moments, like a graduation, a purchase of a home, or even a surprise check engine light. When life calls for bold purchases, you need a bank like BOS. BOS gives you the tools to manage short-term money needs and expert guidance for long-term financial goals. Because to us, banking is about helping people do more with their money. Are you ready for a better banking experience? Then make the bold move and switch to BOS today. Visit bankwithbos.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. All loans subject to credit approval.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I never thought of myself as the type to settle down. Never knew where the team's next lunch was coming from. But then again, we got through that together. With you, it's just so easy. Easy Cater, will you keep showing up at my workplace forever?
Find love at first lunch. Order at easycater.com.
Carpal tunnel syndrome, heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of Amvuttra. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at amvuttra.com. Ask your doctor about Amvuttra for ATTR-CM.
For nearly 100 years, Busey Wealth Management has helped families and businesses make smart financial decisions that stand the test of time. From personalized investment plans to tax strategies that work for you, we take a big picture approach, connecting you with the right experts to help protect what you've built and plan for what's next. Busey Wealth Management, here for every chapter of your financial story.
traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, I guess it's as goes baseball, so goes the traffic, something like that. This traffic report service of the Sandberg Phoenix Law Firm. Cardinals game ran late, so the rush hour is running late. Westbound 70, slow stuff at the city limits. There's heavy traffic in pockets from Lindbergh out through the Blanchette Bridge, 94 to Zumba. A little busy around Highway K. 370 from the Mills out to the Discovery Bridge is slow. Southbound 170 bogged down at the Parkway. North 170, 70 up to Airport Road's heavy. Southbound 270. You've got slow traffic from 364 down through Ladue. North 270, Manchester up to Ladue is heavy. Westbound 64, a solid jam approaching Kings Highway to Clayton Skinker, but slow most of the way to 270 from there, really. It's still heavy approaching Topgolf and on the brakes, or at least slowed down from Winghaven through 364 all the way out to 70. South 270 is also slow, again, from 44 to Gravois. Westbound 44, the right lanes at Lindbergh. Southbound 55, Arsenal down through Bates. There's some heavy traffic around Z and Peevely. Westbound 44, slow past the bridges. Eastbound 64, busy east of 255, midway to 159. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Sandberg Phoenix serves your business in litigation, intellectual property, and products liability. We're more than a law firm. We're committed to your success. Learn more at sandbergphoenix.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
News, traffic, and the latest on the Redbirds. This is the Redbird Rush Hour on KMOX.
Sponsored by Busey Bank. Building community with Busey Bank. Beyond the game.
Hello, baby edition of Redbird Rush Hour today, leading into Sports Open Line. Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. Obviously, Cardinals win. Take their second straight series to start the year. We don't need to forecast. We don't need to try to say whether or not it's going to last. It's just a good start to a season, man. It's a good way to get going when you know you're in a rebuild and you got a lot of young guys out there. And, was it pretty today?
No,
not at all. The winning hit wasn't pretty, but it's a winning hit. There was some ugly baseball, some little league stuff. I coach 14-year-olds. There was some stuff in the game today that you see at 14-year-old baseball. But in all, it led to, and actually more of the mistakes were on the Mets side.
100%.
You mentioned that Lindor play. If Lindor doesn't get picked off because he's got his head up his butt leading off first base, that's a 2-run homer for Juan Soto. This game never gets to the 10th.
I don't think I've ever thought of doing an insurance run of the game as the run that did not score.
I know. It's crazy. It's crazy. And he actually, it didn't end up hurting them early, but he didn't know how many outs there were in the first inning, and he just tapped the bag like it was the end of the inning. He could have turned a double play on Burleson and been out of it, but he didn't because he forgot.
There were multiple times in the
Juan
game where
Soto just disappeared for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, the ball would get away from the catcher and runners would not advance on the bases.
Can't execute a rundown. Come on, Brule, let's go, buddy.
Weird, but
tag him.
Okay, but Brule did his job today for sure.
He did pitching wise for sure. I mean, absolutely. When you get through the guys that he got through in a difficult spot, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He's the number 2 lefty who was in competition with, Packy Naughton and maybe Bryce. I guess what the point I'm trying to make is the expectations were not that he was going to come in as a high leverage guy.
No, but he had to today.
When you put the non-high leverage dudes into high leverage spots and they succeed, that's so powerful because it gives your manager the confidence that you can use where on the other side, and I'm as big of a fan of Chris Roycroft as is out there, he's had
tough day.
His first 2 outings, I think there was a lot of bad luck involved, but my goodness, you got to throw strikes. Strikes. And I would not be surprised if Chris maybe gets the opportunity to go to Memphis and throw some strikes. Also, we'll see if he's on the roster come Friday, but I had zero problem whatsoever with Roycroft's first 2 appearances, even though the numbers were ugly, because when you dig in on him a little bit, you saw how much soft contact was coming against him. But today, that was a situation where you just have to throw strikes, and he wasn't doing it.
Yeah, I mean, today it was 12 pitches, I think, and 2 strikes. I mean, in a 10th inning, I mean, again, I know ideally he's not in that situation, but it's going to happen sometimes.
Sure.
Because of usage, and you used Swanson for 2 innings the other day, you used Soriano for 2 innings the other day. You were, maybe I think the good valid second guess might be you should have just gone to Graceffo at the beginning of the inning. But let's say it stays tied. Well, you're gonna have to count on Roycroft after that. I mean, at some point it's gonna happen where these guys have to do the job, and if you don't, then it's time for someone else to get a crack.
Graceffo was awesome too.
He was really good. He bailed out Roycroft in a big way.
He really did, and I'm glad he's back on the team. I understood why he had to start the season at AAA Memphis coming off of WBC where he barely pitched, but he was impressive yesterday in his first appearance of the year. Looked really good today. It feels like he can step into some of those high leverage multi-inning type situations when you need them. But today his job was to go get out of a jam, and he did it.
And then you get, today's a day you can kind of empty it a little bit because you're off tomorrow. And you'll have what I would think is a normal series in terms of how you can set it up for Detroit. You wouldn't have any real restrictions because Swanson and Soriano would have had 2 days off after throwing 2 innings, so they're fine. And then all the guys, maybe, I don't know, I would think everybody'd be fine after a day off, right? I mean, I know O'Brien's pitched, 3 times already in 6 games, or is it 4? I think it's 4. 4 times in 6 games, but today, what was it? 11 pitches, 12 pitches. Like, he's not really worked that hard.
Yeah, 4 appearances for him, 4 1/3 innings so far this year. In his 4 innings, in his 4 1/3 innings, he has thrown 53 pitches.
Yeah, that's great.
So,
that's 13 pitches an inning, 12 pitches an inning. He's doing fine.
So 4, 12, 30. So that's 53 pitches.
51 would be 4 1/3, just 12 pitches an inning. So.
And that means he is right now averaging 4 pitches per out.
Yeah,
that's good.
That's fine. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. And he's been really good. I mean, the stuff's looked good. He's not, he isn't a huge strikeout guy, but he'll get some, right? He's not one of those 12 strikeout per 9 closers, but he can definitely get the strikeout. I think, was he 9.5 per 9 last year? Something
Sounds
like that.
Right, yeah.
But he also gets a lot of ground balls because that 100-mile-an-hour sinker is pretty nasty.
And how much better does the bullpen just function with O'Brien in the 9th?
It just does. Yeah, you're right. I mean, he's by no means like an established, proven closer, but he showed you last year that he's comfortable in that role, and I think it suits him best.
Yeah,
as a guy that's had injury problems and maybe will benefit from a more consistent job.
And as much as the role for him,
and he stayed calm.
He has the roles for others as well. There's a trickle down effect of him being in the 9th. What I really like Ryan Stanek. I think he's going to have a nice season. I think he was a good pickup.
Yeah,
I like Ryan Stanek in the 7th more than I like Ryan Stanek in the 9th. And that's the trickle down of having O'Brien in the 9th.
Yeah, the way that it's worked the last couple of days is really nice. That's that's the good setup. With some other guys maybe getting to that mix as you go along, but I think it's a good setup to kind of get yourself in the right mindset. Like everybody having a pretty consistent idea of where your slot's going to come.
Sure.
Like, where do I fit into this when everything is right? And then you're going to need guy like Roycroft and Soriano, who's been good so far. You're going to need those guys to be able to fill in when the other guys are down.
Yeah.
And that's why it's concerning when a guy like Roycroft just can't find it.
And there's just, because of, Pashard's on the IL right now, so that doesn't really count. But between guys who don't have options and having a Rule 5 guy, there are very few optionable players in the bullpen.
Right.
So there might be.
He's one of them, right?
He's one of them.
Yeah.
So if you've got to make sure that you are getting effective pitching, especially from those guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say that's a pretty important thing when you are one of the guys that can be optioned. Mm-hmm. You don't have a safety net. You're going to have to do the job. Otherwise, that's going to be the spot they use to rotate.
Right.
So hopefully he figures it out because he's got great stuff. It's just, you gotta know where it's going.
I'm a big fan of Chris Roycroft.
Yeah.
I think at his ceiling is closer level stuff in Major League Baseball. He's got a ways to go.
Yep. All right. A little more Redbird Rush Hour coming up. And then we got Sports Open Line following the 6 o'clock news on KMOX.
For the last 33 years, you've discovered that at Banner Construction, we pride ourselves on quality craftsmanship. We believe the single most important decision homeowners must make when considering an exterior restoration project is who do you hire? At Banner, we provide well-engineered, meaningful, long-term solutions to transform your home into the pride of the neighborhood. Let us help you fall in love with your home all over again. Call or visit bannerconstruction.com and have a banner day.
So I'm somebody, you hear me talking about this most days here on Redbird Rush Hour. I'm somebody that has struggled with my weight in my life. It's one of the most frustrating things that I deal with because I feel like I do all the right things. I feel like I work out. I feel like I eat fairly healthy. I realize I don't sleep enough. But you know what? When you cover baseball and you got 2 kids at home, you're not going to get a whole lot of sleep. So that's just sort of the life that I have to live. I finally talked to the folks at STL Weight Loss Injections about GLP-1s. Like many people, I kept hearing people talk about it. And I thought maybe this is going to be the thing that can help get me over the hump because the stuff that I'm doing just does not seem to be working. And STL Weight Loss Injections is working. There's nothing better. Like when you're somebody who has struggled with your weight, there is no better compliment than when somebody says, hey, looks like you lost a few pounds. I got one of those today. I'm walking into the office. our one of the great ladies in the office here, Tina. She looks at me and she says, Matt, looks like you've lost a little bit of weight. And I really appreciated that. And it is happening with STL weight loss injections. If you want to have that same feeling, man, I would talk to them. They're great. They're so great. They're going to figure out whether or not you're a candidate or not. It's very accessible, $199 for the first month. If you go to the website, stlweightlossinjections.com, you can see their phone number, or you can just schedule an appointment right there and figure out whether or not this makes sense. It might be the best thing you have ever done for yourself. Check them out, stlweightlossinjections.com. That's stlweightlossinjections.com. This is Matt Pauley. Join me weekly for Building Community with Busey Bank Beyond the Game. Every great community project starts with people who choose to get involved, and we'll share those stories. Tomorrow during Redbird Rush Hour, we talk with Greg Poole, who uses baseball cards to make a profound difference in people's lives, sponsored by Busey Bank.
Want to build income without a second job? Learn how real estate investing can help you create extra income one step at a time with Lifestyles Unlimited. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
Traffic from the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
Well, things are getting better on the highways, but we still have slow going. Westbound 370 west of the Mills out to the Discovery Bridge is bogged down. Westbound 70, call it Kings Highway to almost Lucas Hunt, pretty heavy. 270 out to the Blanchette, west of 94 to almost Cave Springs. Then it's just a little busy past Highway K. Those are all slowdowns, not jams. Westbound 64 Kings Highway out through McCausland. From 170 all the way to 270, still pretty slow. And again, 364 out to Highway 70. South 270 approaching Olive down through to 64 is heavy. North 270, Manchester up to Ladue is busy. South 170, bogged down at the Parkway. North 170, Scudder Airport Road area kind of busy. Southbound 55 just a little heavy approaching Bates and at Highway Z. Westbound 44 a little slow past the Poplar. Eastbound 70 a little off the pace at 64. And eastbound 64 approaching 157 midway to 159 is busy. I'm Roger Brand at the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
News, traffic, and the latest on the Redbirds. This is the Redbird Rush Hour on KMOX.
Sponsored by Busey Bank. Building community with Busey Bank. Beyond the game.
I don't have a ton of time here on the Redbird Rush Hour, but we do have Sports Open Line coming up after the top of the hour. You want to let everybody know what's going on? I know you mentioned earlier calls and some texts and messages on the stream.
Yeah, we always try to do what we generally do on the Extra Innings Show on Sports Open Line on nights of weekday day games. Bernie Miklasz is going to join us at 6:20. Nice. The great voice of Illini basketball and football, Brian Barnhart's going to join us
Final
tonight
Four,
as well,
baby.
as they're getting ready for their Final Four run.
Brian's such a nice guy.
Oh, he's so good. And he's a really, really talented broadcaster, which is awesome. Want to bring up this, though. We got a comment. So one of our, we need to put out a search party for one of our very common commenters who comments a lot every single show. Aaron, we haven't heard from him for a couple days. And the last time we heard from him was the opening game of this series, where he was adamant, Kevin. He was adamant that the Cardinals wouldn't win a single game in this series, not just lose the series. They would not win a single game. And STL Girl 74 sends in a message on the video stream, says, where's the guy? The guy is Aaron. Where's the guy who said the Mets are going to sweep the Cardinals? And I told him he was wrong. Cardinals won the series, dude. Yeah.
Hey, good job.
So, Aaron, we're
all just playing, buddy. But don't be so negative.
Yeah,
it's okay. Yeah, it's okay to let it play. And there, this is not. Doesn't mean this 4-2 record doesn't mean they're a contender.
No,
it just means it's a good start to a season. Let's see what happens.
Let's have fun.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know if you've heard, sports is supposed to be fun.
Oh,
and the Cardinals are a fun team. Win, lose, or draw, they're going to be a fun team. This is a really fun group, I believe.
Yeah,
we'll see if I'm singing the same song, in August.
Well, I was going to say
bad.
July and August when we get to some of the dog days. Let's see if we feel as good. But right now, it feels good.
We can revisit for sure.
Yeah.
But I like the makeup of this team. I like some of the young players, the youngest team in baseball. And even if they end up losing that game today, it's a 500 homestand to start the year. There's still positive things that come out of it. So let's just enjoy this thing right now.
Absolutely. All right. So real quick, the only thing I want to get to, we don't have much time, is Matthew Liberatore today.
Good.
So I thought significantly better than opening day.
Yeah.
Now, on opening day, I think he had 6 balls that were hit well over 100 miles an hour. Today was 3. That's good.
In the longer times pitched.
Right. But the other 2 with more pitches and more batters faced, which is good. And even if you just look at the ones that were under 100, but in the 90s, about half as much as the last time. So he basically cut the hard contact in half in this game. against a good team. So I think that was a much better outing from him. I like the way he looks early as far as his aggressiveness in the zone, throwing a lot of strikes. He got away with a couple today, a couple like high breaking balls that didn't get hit, but it's okay.
But it all evens out because the Juan Soto home run is a great pitch.
I know.
That has no business going out.
He's like the only left-hander on the planet that could have hit that ball into the seats.
So, like Matthew
it's like
Liberatore,
face high, sinker?
Liberatore should not be upset about that pitch.
No.
So you get away with some, but then you have some bad luck in the other direction. It's even Steven.
Yeah. Didn't get a lot of swings and misses, but that's not his game. You know, I mean, it's just not. He's not a big strikeout guy. He's average-ish, maybe a little below average in terms of, but there's an average for a reason because you got guys out there that are, striking out 12 per 9. Somebody's going to be 8 per 9 or 7 per 9.
Sure,
It's going to be okay. All right, buddy, have fun tonight.
A nice job, your 20-minute work day today, Kevin.
I'm tired. I had to watch baseball and talk for 20 minutes. I don't know how I'm going to do it, man.
Go sleep well tonight.
Wish me well.
Ice down.
I will rest. Sports Open Line is coming up after the news on KMOX.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Turn your book idea into publishing gold.
800-215-6818. 800-215-6818. That's 800-215-6818.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-296-1251. 800-296-1251. That's 800-296-1251. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Spring cleaning is upon us, but there's one meaningful box that you don't throw away when cleaning out your closet. It's the box filled with your family's important videotapes, film reels, and photos. Hi, I'm Adam Baselogger.
And I'm Nick Mako. We started Legacy Box over a decade ago to help families organize and update their analog media to digital.
Legacy Box is simple and easy. It works and is safe. Over 1 million families have trusted Legacy Box.
And Legacy Box has been featured in Good Housekeeping, The Today Show, and Rachel Ray.
Legacy Box is like magic, converting your shoebox of memories to the cloud or thumb drive, ready to watch and share.
Declutter your closet by digitizing your media. Become more organized and accomplished, knowing your family's recorded past is safe forever. Take advantage of our spring cleaning sale going on now. It's the easiest task to check off your to-do list.
For a limited time, you can get started for just $9 a tape. Visit legacybox.com/radio to get our $9 sale. That's legacybox.com/radio to get our $9 offer. Legacybox.com/radio.
What a beautiful spring. Hi, I'm Tim Gamma from Gamma Tree Experts. When it comes to tree care, don't let a rookie with a chainsaw pinch hit for you. Always lead off with the pros from Gamma Tree Experts. Call our team of certified arborists to inspect your valuable trees and shrubs today. Knowledge and quality are hallmarks of our reputation for 60 years. For pruning, fertilization, or removal, call today at 314-725-6159 or visit us at gammatree.com. Your trees deserve the best care.
Get ready to laugh out loud, St. Louis. The outrageous Broadway hit Spamalot is riding into the fabulous Fox Theater May 5th through the 17th. From the twisted minds of Monty Python, this Tony Award-winning musical brings you killer rabbits, dancing knights, and non-stop hilarity. It's the legend of King Arthur like you've never seen it before. More information can be found at KMOX.com/events.
Traffic from the MichaelsFloorandOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, we're wrapping up with a little trouble downtown. Hopefully everybody's left the ballpark, but if you're traveling on westbound 64 right near the ballpark, we have a crash blocking the traffic lanes. Traffic's not quite jammed back to the Poplar Street Bridge, but that was just called out to deal with, so it may be out there for a few more minutes. We'll keep tabs on it. Obviously, westbound 44 past the Poplar is a little slow. Eastbound 64 on the Illinois side, east of 157, about midway to 159, still heavy. Westbound 70, Riverview through Jennings Station, still slow. Eastbound 70 near the Rock Road, we have an incident, it's a little heavy there. Both directions of 64 between 270 between 64 and Ladue are busy. Westbound 64 from the Science Center out through the 170 area is still heavy. From the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Celebrating 100 years of informing and entertaining. KMOX AM St. Louis, KMOX FM Hazelwood, the voice of St. Louis.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. NASA's crewed mission around the moon is now underway.
3, 2, 1, booster ignition, and liftoff. The crew of Artemis 2 now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
4 astronauts have blasted off from the Kennedy Space Center aboard a massive rocket on a long-anticipated journey around the moon, the first crewed lunar flyby in more than 50 years, with 3 Americans and 1 Canadian on board. Apollo 17 astronaut Harrison Schmitt is one of the last humans to set foot on the moon.
I've been talking about this for 53 and a half years, getting back to the moon. It's really important for the country to have this happen.
Jeff Brock is at a watch party in Seattle.
For me, it's just a feeling of joy and utter delight and pride in this huge scientific community.
The Artemis 2 crew will spend a day in orbit around Earth, checking their capsule before firing the main engine that will propel them to the moon. The Israeli military says air defenses are responding to Iranian missiles. This just a couple of hours before President Trump is set to give a televised address on the war in Iran. The Supreme Court is weighing the legality of President Trump's executive order that would ban birthright citizenship. Solicitor General John Sauer has argued the 14th Amendment's clause was adopted to grant citizenship to freed slaves and their children, not to children born to people who are in the country illegally or temporarily. Justice Elena Kagan poked holes in that.
So the text of the clause, I think, does not support you. I think you're sort of looking for some more technical, esoteric meaning.
CBS's Jan Crawford.
This case reminded me a lot of, when you go to a ball game and the powerhouse team is going to win at the end of the day, but you still have to play the game. You still got to run your defense. But you know that what that outcome is going to be. And I think this case is pretty clearly going to go against the president.
The national average for a gallon of regular unleaded gas is now up to nearly $4.10 as the war with Iran drags on. The average a month ago was $2.99. Joshua Harris manages a fresh fish distributor in Atlantic Beach, Florida.
We ship trucks from Miami bringing us fresh fish. We have boats that fishermen that bring us fresh fish. So the price of diesel fuel and fuel affects every aspect of our business. We deliver out to our customers and we have to pay more for fuel costs on that end as well.
Tiger Woods has told Ryder Cup officials he will not be captain for the 2027 matches in Ireland. Woods is stepping away from golf activities to seek treatment for his health following his arrest on suspicion of DUI during a car crash last week. This is CBS News.
It's one of the most successful law and justice programs in television history that continues to uncover the truth. 48 Hours, Saturday on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.
Carpal tunnel syndrome, heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of Amvuttra. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at amvuttra.com. Ask your doctor about Amvuttra for ATTR-CM.
At 6:04, 4 astronauts have now launched on their high-stakes flight around the moon, humanity's first lunar voyage in more than half a century. The 32-story rocket blasted off from Florida's Kennedy Space Center. It's the thrilling leadoff in NASA's push toward a lunar landing in 2 years. People around the country are at watch parties to witness the launch.
It's awe and pride, and I've been a space fanatic since I was very tiny. And to be able to see us go back to circle the moon with the first crewed flight in 50 years, it's stunning.
The Artemis 2 crew will spend a day in orbit around Earth, checking their capsule before firing the main engine that will propel them to the moon. The nearly 10-day mission will see them fly around the moon and set a distance record before coming straight back home. St. Louis County Executive Sam Page is releasing results of a survey on how they feel residents feel about the city and county joining forces.
Not a merger, Dr. Page says. This would have to include the people.
Definitely anything that changes the way they're structured would have to be approved by the voters in the city and the voters in the county. So we need to get them engaged. They need to be talking about this. And what I hope is when I leave, people will see that we provided really good services with a pretty limited budget until our budget was broken with too many cuts, and then our services started to crash. And that's where we are right now.
Page says there's no way to deliver government services without the appropriate revenue streams.
So our community is faced with a new source of revenue to provide the same good services in St. Louis County, or a way to scale up those services by combining them with other jurisdictions.
Maria Kina, KMOX News.
U.S. Steel's Granite City plant is once again making steel slabs. Mayor Mark Parkinson says he hopes it's not short-lived.
Even as a young policeman here, when I was negotiating contracts with the police union, it was always, that rhetoric was always there of, well, we're not sure what the mill's going to do and what that'll do to the town. We can't commit money to this. We can't commit money to that. We can't pay you more because of, the long-term effects that may come into place if the mill were to shut down.
Parkinson says that's why it's important that the cities continue to explore new economic opportunities. U.S. Steel is now owned by Japan's Nippon Steel. Protection against closure of Granite City Works is only guaranteed until the summer of 2027. Looking for somewhere outdoors to hang out this summer? A new location could be coming to your block.
Yes, your block, as St. Louis City has announced a new Welcoming Public Spaces pilot program where neighborhood groups and business owners can apply to turn underutilized streets or portions of them into gathering spaces close to vehicles. St. Louis City traffic engineer Kyle Nelson says this could create more vibrant spaces in neighborhoods for people to gather.
Picnic tables, maybe with some light games, just an area where the neighborhood can gather. Maybe businesses can take advantage of this space to help boost some of their sales, their events.
Pilot program would give 3-month permits from the end of May through August. Permits could also be sought for shorter periods. There is no eligibility requirement to apply. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
Let's get you to traffic now with Roger Brand at the Traffic Center.
Downtown on westbound 64, this traffic reports the service of Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. We've got a crash right out in front of Busch Stadium here, westbound 64. Only the right lane is sneaking through. Traffic's jammed back pretty close to the Poplar Street Bridge. While we're downtown, I'll tell you, eastbound 64 is still slow, just east of 157, midway to 159. Westbound 64 on the Missouri side, once you get through the Busch Stadium crash, you still got heavy traffic. Hampton, headed out through Bellevue, Big Bend, and there's a little slowdown past Lake St. Louis Boulevard after that. South 170 busy at Brentwood. Eastbound 64 kind of heavy through the Interbelt. Westbound 70 Goodfellow through Jennings Station still slow. West of 94 out to Cave Springs is busy. Have a crash reported eastbound 370 involving a semi somewhere between Truman and Newtown. I don't see any delays, though. There is still a slowdown westbound 370, though, west of the Mills, out through to the Discovery Bridge due to road work. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are now open for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. A winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Enter now at OverheadDoorSt.Louis.com.
Unsettled times will continue right through Saturday. Cloudy, breezy, a couple of showers, couple of thunder showers overnight, but limited. 58 with a slow rise in temperature after midnight. Thursday, mostly cloudy, couple of showers and thunderstorms, but also limited. Breezy and 79. Windy with some showers and thunderstorms on Thursday night, 62. And Friday, partly sunny. Couple of showers and thunderstorms, though, 83. Keep that going. Saturday, cooler and dry on Sunday. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Dave Murray on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
And right now we've got some drizzle. It's 61 degrees. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Come on, let's get going now.
From KMOX Sports.
We're primed and ready. All day, baby. Man, let's go.
This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Live. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Here we go. It is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley. It is great to have you with us today as we've got you for the next 2 hours as we take you till 8 o'clock this evening, coming off a Cardinals win, a very solid Cardinals win today, just in the sense that with the victory, they take 2 of 3 from the Mets. They take 2 of 3 from the Rays. They take 2 of 3 from the Mets, and now they're going to go on the road for the first time this year. They match up against Detroit in a 3-game series that is going to start on Friday afternoon right here on KMOX. As always, if you want to chime in, you can do so. The number to call or text, 314-436-7900. That's 314-436-7900. You can tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. Or for those of you who are watching on the video stream, feel free to leave a comment in the chat, and we will we'll address some of those as we go along. I've said this a million times already. I'll say it one more time. On the days of weekday day games, we kind of try to get back into regular programming as quick as possible, so we don't do the full extra inning show. We save the opportunity to do the phone calls and text and all the messages and communications and all that sort of stuff. We save that for Sports Open Line. So if you've got something you just really got to get off your chest about the Cardinals, don't worry. You're going to have that opportunity coming up later on in the program. I'm not going to make too much of a start. They're 4-2. That's great. I love it. It's fun. They're playing an entertaining brand of baseball so far. And I think more importantly, sometimes the entertaining brand of baseball is having a bunch of guys that are easy to root for. And I think that's the Cardinals right now. I think it's really easy to root for a bunch of these guys, and they're having fun. There's energy that goes along with it. The chicken and egg, winning creates energy. Energy creates winning. It's probably more the winning creating energy than anything else, but except at the beginning of the season where they brought a lot of energy out of spring training. I did think the start to the season was going to be an important thing for them being able to sustain that energy for as long as possible, maybe the entire year, because you just don't want to get bogged down. You don't want to be kind of punched when you're down at the early part of the season. And there have been times where the Cardinals have had slow starts to the season, and it's been hard to completely build back out of it. So I don't think you could ask for much more than what we have seen from the Cardinals for the first week of the year. To take 2 out of 3 against a Rays team, which I think is a very respectable team, to take 2 of 3 from a Mets team that is a legitimate World Series contender. I don't think they're playing right now like a legitimate World Series contender. Kevin Wheeler and I were actually having this conversation off air after we wrapped up Redbird Rush Hour. And actually, we got a comment on the stream earlier, basically saying that, here, it came from Ken. Ken says, always great to win series and always great to beat the Mets, but the Cardinals caught the Mets at a great time. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see what they do moving forward. Like, this was a Mets team that opened up the season against Pittsburgh and won 2 of 3, and they scored 11-4 and 4 runs. No, 11-4 and 3 runs, over those 3 games. They weren't scoring a lot of runs, obviously, in this series against the Cardinals. They scored 5 total runs over 3 games against the Cardinals. The Mets seemed off, but I don't know how much of the Mets seeming off was the Cardinals executing and how much the Mets seeming off was the Mets being off. And let's watch the next week for them. They're going to go into San Francisco and they're going to match up against the Giants. And the Giants have not had a fantastic start to their season. They are just 2-4. Now, they did just take 2 of 3 from the Padres, but it's been a bit of a slow start for them. You would think the Mets would have an opportunity to have some success against the Giants. So we'll wait and see. But I don't want to take anything away from the Cardinals in terms of, maybe they caught the Mets at the right time. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. There's not enough information to know quite yet. Ron sends a message and says, no, the Mets caught the Cardinals at the wrong time. Okay. I guess, and Ron, I don't know if this is the point that you are trying to make, but I'll make it for you. And I think the idea of what there might be a lot of credibility to what you're saying. The Cardinals bring a lot of energy into the start of the season, coming off of spring training. They're a young team. On paper, they don't look like an especially good team. You get into the dog days of the season, and all of a sudden, kind of who you are starts to play out a little bit. And could that exist with the Cardinals this season? Sure. I'm not sure it will. Again, I've long said that I think the Cardinals are better than what the outside world is saying that they are. but the idea that maybe the Cardinals are a little bit better here at the start of the season as they almost don't know better, and eventually they'll play into more of what's expected. Ron, I don't know if that's the point you're trying to make. Could that scenario play out in that way? Yeah, it could, but I still don't know what that means. Like, the people out there who think this is a Cardinals team that's going to be close to 100 losses, going to be 95 losses, I've just never seen it. I've never seen that. And I've never claimed that they're going to be an above 500 team. I've never claimed that they're going to be a team that's going to be in contention to win the division. I just think they're going to be a fun, competitive team that's not terrible. And if everything goes right for them, maybe they're sticking around in playoff contention when all is said and done. Like, to me, that seems like the ceiling for this team. And the Cardinals said as much. There was a press conference at some point. I think it was during winter warm-up, if I remember correctly. And I think it was Bill DeWitt III, or maybe it was Bill DeWitt Jr. I don't know. Somebody of importance with the Cardinals at a time that I think was winter warm-up essentially said a 500 record would be an accomplishment for this team this year. And I think there's truth to that. And that doesn't mean that you accept a 500 record. But what that does mean is you are understanding of where the Cardinals are at right now in trying to get back to being a super high-level team. And you realize that this isn't the year where they're going to be contending for a World Series championship. So what's the best they can do? And if the best they can do is being in that 500 neighborhood and sticking around for a playoff spot for a while, then and be fun, entertaining, and watch a bunch of young dudes become better baseball players as the year goes along. If all that happens, let's do that. Let's do that and see what it looks like at the end of the year. Bernie Miklasz is going to join us for our weekly Wednesday conversation. Wednesdays with Bernie. That's up next. It's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 41,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
There's a difference between liking a house and actually getting it. Redfin is built to make up that difference and close the gap between finding and owning the home for you. Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents, so when you find a home you love, you're not a step behind when it's time to make an offer. That means less watching great homes disappear and more focus on the ones you'll actually move into and call home. Redfin helps turn saved listings into real addresses. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
So I own a coffee shop, and I wanted to label everything with our logo.
That's ambitious.
Cups, boxes, bags.
Ooh, that'll add up.
Not at all, because right now, Staples prints custom labels for 30% off.
30% off? That's shockingly affordable branding.
Yep, now our logo and URL are seen all over town.
Brand your business for less at Staples.
That was easy.
Shop Staples in-store, online, or in the app by 4/18 to unlock. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer. Haven't practiced in a long time, but I did plaintiff's work and defense work, so I have a pretty good understanding of it. I have a pretty good idea of who's who in the firmament of plaintiffs, attorneys. And for my money, Mark Cantor is the guy. He's a great attorney. He is a great practitioner. He's put together a great team. He was born and raised here. He lives here. He works here. He wins here. Call 314-628-ALL-9s or CantorInjuryLaw.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based on advertising.
Straight Realty has always been an industry leader when it comes to commissions. So it should come as no surprise that the recent Realtor settlement has only empowered us to continue offering our sellers even better rates. We now list homes for only 2%. Hi, I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. Call me 314-441-4444. Why pay more than $2? You can also listen to my podcast on my website, straightrealty.com.
Commissions are not regulated and are negotiable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Ready to hit a home run with your backyard? Call Artistic Decks. We're celebrating 25 years of A-plus service with massive rollback pricing. Get a professional custom-built deck for less. Hit it out of the park with Artistic Decks. Call 314-280-0821 today.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com.
A century strong. The voice of St. Louis. KMOX. Bernie Miklasz on KMOX is sponsored by Stewart's American Mortgage, home of the Bagel Loan, and by Salika Heating and Cooling, a Daikin comfort dealer.
It is absolutely one of my favorite segments that we do every week here on a Gray Bar Sports Open Line when I get to welcome my friend Bernie Miklasz on to the program. You hear him all over KMOX, Redbird, Rush Hour, Gas House Gang. He's part of Tuesdays with Oliver Marmol, Sports on a Sunday Morning. He talks with the Dave Glover Show every week as well. And then if you want to see him and also read him, you do that over at STL Sports Central, where he is producing at least 5 videos and at least 5 columns on an every week basis. But he joins us on Wednesdays here on Sports Open Line. Bernie, always great to talk to you. How are you?
Oh, thanks for the nice welcome as always, man. Good to be with you as always.
A fun opening homestand for the Cardinals. They take 2 of 3 from both the Rays and the Mets. It wasn't always the prettiest, but they found ways to win. And I think they are maybe endearing themselves to some fans out there as a team that's kind of easy to root for and fun to watch.
It's a very likable team. And sure, there's flaws on the team. There's flaws on every team. You know, there's at times watching a game, you know, you get frustrated. Not that you're hating on anybody, but you just get frustrated. But I keep coming back to just watching them play and how hard they dig in. You know, in the Mets series, they scored 7 runs in 3 games. And the thing of it is, sometimes when you watch a team play and the other side is pitching great. I mean, the Mets threw 3 outstanding starting pitchers at them, and the Cardinals had a hard time. And there's a tendency, fans and media, we look at the Cardinals and we say, well, boy, they're kind of flat. You know, where's the passion? You know, it looks like they're kind of going through the motions. They weren't going through the motions. Sometimes you just got to tip your cap to say the other side's pitchers were lights out, and then they just make the other side look bad, you know. So I haven't had one moment this season so far, and I know the season's very early, but I haven't had one moment so far where I question kind of like their desire or their intensity to win. I see them overcoming their own problems. I see them finding different ways to win. Can I give you what I think is a delightful stat?
I would love your delightful stat of the day.
I love this. I actually sent this to the manager of the Cardinals. On this homestand, the Cardinals won a series where both teams combined for 45 runs in 3 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were all tight. Could have gone either way. The Rays and Cardinals combined for 45 runs in that series in 3 games, and the Cardinals won 2 out of 3. Okay, let's shift to the second series. The Cardinals and the Mets combined for 12 runs in 3 games. Offense was very hard to come by, and yet the Cardinals found a way to win that game. I mean, doesn't that kind of sum up what we know about them so far? In other words, hey, if you're going to get into a brawl, you know, if it's going to take a bunch of runs and a bunch of homers and like big, huge hits, well, they did that because that was the only way they were going to beat Tampa because the pitching wasn't there. Okay, now the Mets come to town with 3 hot starters. Runs are hard to come by. Just, you know, a lot of at bats where they look bad, things like that. A series where 12 runs is scored, the Cardinals get 7 of the 12, and they find a way to win a very, very, very low scoring series, where this time the pitching had to carry you. The offense carried them in the first series. The pitching carried them in this series. I love that. I think it tells us a lot about them.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things I want to dive in on here with you, Bernie. Hopefully we have enough time. So it's like specifically to today's game. If the Cardinals are just a flat out bad team, they're not winning that game, because bad teams don't win games that they aren't awesome in, right? And today the Cardinals didn't play a great game. They scored 2 runs on 5 hits. They go 2 for 14 with runners on in scoring position. Chris Roycroft came in and couldn't throw a strike. Like, there are all these moments in this game that could have resulted in a loss, yet the Cardinals find a way to win. And I want to be careful in how I say this, because I don't want to sit here and proclaim that the Cardinals are a great team, but I'll say it this way: like, bad teams don't win a game like the way the Cardinals won today.
Yeah, and not that I think the Cardinals are a bad team in the opening week of the season, because at the very least it would have been a 3-3 homestand. But as the game dragged on, I didn't think they were going to win it. Gorman has that huge RBI single to keep them alive. They kept screwing up run opportunities late, but they kept pecking away at it. The pitching was phenomenal. The bullpen in that whole series was phenomenal. Didn't allow a run in 13 innings of relief work, and we were all like freaking out over the bullpen because of the Tampa Bay series. So, find it, like, when you can find 2 different ways, totally opposite ways to win a series, that tells me something. And I know I keep repeating that, but that tells me a little bit about who you are. It's like, whatever is necessary, we'll find a way to get it done. High scoring series, low scoring series, bullpen's bad, bullpen's great. Let's just do whatever we got to do to win a game and win a series.
When that hit fell for Mason Wynn and the Cardinals win the game, I'm being dead serious when I say this. A quote came into my mind at that moment, and I'll paraphrase. I don't remember the exact wording, but at one point I think it was Chaim Bloom's introductory press conference, the offseason coming into this year, he said something along the lines of, if you make good baseball decisions, even looking towards the future, you get rewarded in the now for the good decisions that you're making. And just in that moment, Bernie, that quote just rang true to me, because Mason Wynn played a spectacular defensive game today. He hasn't done anything offensively really this season. And in that moment where the Cardinals really, really needed it, they get rewarded by the baseball gods. And I just kept thinking about that quote from Chaim.
Yeah, I really like that. And you're so right. And I don't know whether to call it irony. I don't know what to call it, but I mean, I don't have to tell you, man, you're working these Cardinals games and you're getting a lot of text messages during the post-game show and everything else. And people have just been, and I'm not being critical of anyone, but people have just been absolutely losing their minds over Mason Wynn batting cleanup. And I get it, because he hasn't done anything really. I mean, let's be honest. He's hitting $160. And he's had a lot of RBI chances and runners in scoring position. He hasn't cashed in. So he's sort of been the obsession early on for all of us who like to look at lineups and say, well, what would we do? I'd never make a lineup like that. Wynn doesn't belong in cleanup. But I'm not saying anybody who says that's wrong. But I just think it's funny, because he was the focal point the first 6 games. Why is he batting cleanup? And the fact that today he sends, I don't know what you even want to call it. It was like a balloon that was deflating, floating in air and deflating and losing air and losing air and losing air. And there's like, the Mets look like 3 little kids trying to catch the balloon, and they couldn't, and it fell to the ground. And, the guy that everybody's been hollering about the whole first week, he gets the winning hit, and it's a kind of hit that you can't, in your dreams, if you're a major league hitter, that's not the kind of hit you're thinking, yeah, I'm going to rip a line drive and we're going to go home. No, he sent a balloon out in the shallow right field, and it fell to the earth in between 3 little kids trying to chase it.
I've I've enjoyed this conversation about the win and the cleanup hole because I think it's the way we view baseball now and the things we know about baseball now. And look, there are some things that come back around. There are some things that can be argued, some things that can't be argued, but it's very clear that putting your best hitter, your most impactful hitter in the 2 slot makes the most sense. And that's not the way it used to be. And there's a lot of models out there. Like this is just, you can't argue this. As somebody who's sitting here listening to me say, no, Matt, that's wrong. You're just not taking the information. Like we can't argue the fact that you want the guy who's going to be most impactful in the 2 hole. You're going to get him more at bats. Like just everything says that. I've enjoyed this Masyn Winn conversation, Bernie, because I do think it's important that people do kind of start to understand the way the game is being viewed and the things that we know. So every single time somebody says, well, it should be Herrera instead of Winn in the 4 spot, it's the great opportunity to explain basically the impact of the 2 spots.
Yeah, exactly. And, I said in something I wrote today at STL Sports Central, like I don't get a headache or a backache or a posterior ache over lineup cards. I just don't. The only thing I kind of lose, the only thing I kind of lose it over is I firmly believe that the leadoff hitter's biggest obligation is to get on base as often as he can. And I think the number 2 hitter sort of works in concert with the leadoff hitter if you got a guy getting on base. After that, I don't care that much because it really comes down to like, well, who's hot, who's not. It comes down to randomness. It comes down to who the other team's pitching. These are professional hitters. Sometimes they're going to get it done. Sometimes they're not. And with Masyn Winn, I kind of get. I know the way Ollie wants to structure his lineup. He wants to take away. I mean, we've all gone through this. They're going left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. So, yeah, you could put Herrera there, but then you can kind of weaken your 2 hole, as you pointed out. I think he wants to put Jordan Walker there, but I think he's being a little careful with that. He's going to let, Walker, like the last couple of days, that hasn't looked very good at the plate. Okay. So is that the guy you're going to grab now when they go to Detroit? You're going to put him at cleanup? You say, well, put Herrera there. Well, okay. Well, where are you going to put Walker? You're going to bat him second? What are you going to do? I mean, there's a million ways to do this. Can I tell you the biggest thing about Masyn Winn?
Yeah.
And I think people are missing the whole point. I want to see Masyn Winn hit. I don't care where he is in lineup. He had a bad season offensively last year. He's off to a bad start this year. I want to see him hit. I want him to become an above average hitter in 2026. You could bat him 9th. You can bat him 6th. You could bat him 2nd. I want to see him hit. It doesn't matter where he lines up.
Great point. And again, there's not a whole lot of difference with whether you're the 4 hitter or the 5 hitter. I think you make a very good point, Bernie. When you really look at a lineup, 1, 2, maybe you can make the argument at the 9 spot before you're turning things back over and what you want there. But yeah, there's just not a lot of difference between who you've got in the 4 spot and somewhere else. So it's up to Masyn Winn to start hitting. He had some really good months last year. He had some not so good months last year. To me, this year also is kind of a season where, if assuming he can stay healthy, he starts to show who he really is as a hitter.
Yeah, and I think we'll look up at the All-Star break, and I think he'll be in good shape. I certainly hope so, because we know the talent is there. I will say this, and this isn't a criticism of Ollie, but I think it's really just an observation. I don't know what it is, man. We've all covered baseball hitters who, if you sort of like when Masyn Winn came to the major leagues, and especially in 2024, he batted eighth a lot. He batted 9th a lot. His numbers were phenomenal. I don't think he felt any pressure. I think he just relaxed and did his thing. He had RBI opportunities. He understood nobody was really, putting it all on him. His job was to go up and just take a good at bat and hopefully have some success. His numbers were phenomenal when he hit near the bottom of the lineup. Ollie puts him at leadoff. I think Masyn Winn is uncomfortable there. He would deny that. I think he puts pressure on himself. I think he tries too hard. He overthinks it. Okay, he gets him out of the leadoff spot. Now he puts him in the 4 spot. Okay, I think Masyn Winn, who I have immense respect for, he would deny this and say, you're crazy, you're wrong. That's just not true. But you see a guy in the 4-hole, especially after the first couple, 3 games, nothing was happening. You can't tell me that he's not feeling the pressure. He's not kind of beating himself up. I think when you put a guy in one of those spots that really means something symbolically, the leadoff spot, the 4-hole, a dude is going to get out of his comfort zone if he's not used to hitting there and he hasn't had success there. I really believe that. That's my theory.
I think it's interesting. I think it's something to continue to watch here moving forward. I'm really good at being a prisoner of the moment in my life and everything I do. Like the right now seems so much bigger than the yesterday. So I preface this with that. I think we're already at a crossroads moment here with Jordan Walker, because we were all lifting up everything that he was doing in his last 2 games. He's 0 for 6 today. I want to use a lesser word of startling. So startling -2. That's what today was for Walker, because it's the 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. He's swinging at the stuff that you don't want him to swing at. He's not making solid contact. He was given cookies at each of those at bats, didn't take advantage of it, and he misplays a ball out in right field. Like that, to me, that looked like old Jordan Walker. And as somebody who has watched Jordan Walker give us hope time after time after time, and then it go away, I watched him today, and that small voice in my head started saying, here we go again.
Well, you're right. And listen, the number one problem with Jordan Walker is he has fragile confidence. And, he gets something going and he feels great. He feels great and he's relaxed at the plate. He doesn't try to do too much. He stays within himself. His mind is clear and free. But as soon as he has a bad game or just an off game, look, Weatherholt struck out today. It's going to happen. Yeah. But like last night, 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts today. And then he comes into today, the at-bats are even worse. So it's 0 for 6 and 4 strikeouts in the last games. And I think in terms of his psyche, I think it just tears him up. I think it all falls apart again and he's got to start all over. And man, that is a tough way to be a Major League Baseball hitter, when the confidence comes and goes so quickly. And it's I don't know what the answer is.
I'll finish you with this, and I just openly wonder this, as he is, and hopefully the fragility that is seemingly is there. Hopefully at some point that goes away, but I do have to openly wonder, Bernie, if there is still that level of fragility for Jordan Walker. If you give him a day, does he just have to have the day, and there is no scenario where he's coming off the bench because he hasn't gone through his normal structured plan to get ready for a game? And you could have a situation like today. Like, does he just need to be somebody right now that if he starts, he plays, but if he's not starting, you don't want some sort of spiral to start because of what happens in a game that he's just doesn't look good in?
Yeah, and I don't know. That's a really good observation, and I'd have to go back and look at how it is when he comes into a game, off the bench, and whether he's ever had any kind of success. And I'm talking about the previous 2 years when he overall wasn't very good at all. But on the other hand, listen, I want to believe in this guy. I don't want to be negative. I don't want to be a so-called hater. I was really thrilled by what we saw from him. And I know it was only 4 games. Every time I talked about it, I said it 25 times. It seemed like 25,000 times. I know it's only 4 games. So I wasn't declaring that he's back and he's going to go to the All-Star game, but you really liked what you saw there. And so I was just really kind of disappointed. I was just kind of a little bit disillusioned just to see it all kind of unravel. And it doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. And I'm looking at the box score today, and even with those 2 games, last night and today, or the 3 games, whatever it is. I'm sorry, because he did play in all 3 games. For the season, Jordan Walker is still hitting 263. He's got a 354 on base percentage. He's slugging over 500. So he's done a lot of good things. And see, he needs to put his mind on that. It's like, well, look, okay, I had some bad games here, bad stretch, but I'm off to a good start overall. I just got to put the emphasis on the positive. That's what he's got to do.
He is Bernie Miklas. Again, you hear him all the time here on KMOX. We'll have him on Redbird Rush Hour coming up on Friday. I guess we'll probably have a show. That's going to be an early enough game coming up on Friday against Detroit. And you read him over at STL Sports Central. Bernie, always appreciate the time, and we'll catch up again later on this week.
I appreciate it, Matt. Thanks for having me as always.
All right, very good. That is Bernie Miklas joining us on the program. 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you text. You can tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air. I always say that we try to open up the phones and the text line and everything on these days of weekday day games. If you've got any thoughts that you want to share and talk through, now is the opportunity. We'll do that coming up in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. You are locked into a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Game day comfort steps up to the plate Saturday, April 11th, when the Cardinals face the Boston Red Sox downtown. That night, fans can score a Cardinals dugout hoodie presented by Mercy, built for cool nights, late innings, and early season baseball. It's a classic, easy-to-wear layer you'll reach for all year long. Available in medium or extra large while supplies last. Don't miss this spring matchup. Get tickets and details at cardinals.com/promotions.
Every Sunday home game is a Kids Sunday at Busch Stadium. From Team Fredbird and games to a kid-friendly DJ, ice cream, and family favorite activities, Sundays are built for young fans. Plus, select Sundays feature kids run the bases after the game. It's a day made for smiles, memories, and Cardinals baseball together. Make Sundays your family tradition at Busch Stadium. Tickets and details at cardinals.com/KidsSunday.
Hey, Missouri. It's game time. Start betting like a pro with the world's largest sportsbook at your fingertips. Hi, I'm Derek Stevens. I'm a lifelong sports bettor, and I'm the owner of Circus Sports. It's sports betting the way it should be, with high limits, player-friendly pricing, exceptional customer service, and more. Download your new bookie at circusports.com. The action starts now, Missouri. Experience the difference with Circus Sports. Bet like a pro.
Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Hi, St. Louis. This is Ben Barnett with Timberline Tree Care. I'm really excited to announce another reason why we should be taking care of your trees. Timberline is now the only tree care provider anywhere to offer full-spectrum tree maintenance programs that are fully guaranteed. Here's how it works. You call Timberline, and an ISA-certified arborist will meet you at your home. We will develop a plan that includes soil testing and amendment, fertilization, any necessary pesticide applications, and annual inspections by an ISA-certified arborist. But here's the best part. Maintenance pruning of your tree is included in this plan, and in the unlikely event that your tree dies while under our care, we will remove it for free. All you have to do is call us and sign up for the plan. We will take care of literally everything from there. There's no obligation, and you can cancel at any time. For tree care that is guaranteed, call Timberline Professional Tree Care at 636-479-7475 or find out more at stltreecare.com.
Hey there, it's Kevin Wheeler, and I'm joined by my friend and St. Louis real estate expert, Gloria Liu, your home sold guaranteed realty. And Gloria, everyone knows you for your guaranteed sold program, but you also help your sellers get multiple cash offers, right?
That's right. Some sellers are looking for speed, certainty, and to avoid repairs and open houses. I just helped a family in December to sell their parents' estate. They chose me because I offered 4 cash offers at our first meeting, which gave them options picking the best cash offer, whether it's multiple cash offers or my guaranteed sold program. My sellers are always in control to sell fast and for the most money. It's my guarantees and my buyers in waiting program that set me apart from other realtors.
If you're ready to make your move without the hassles, guaranteed, then call Gloria Liu right now at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
What a beautiful spring.
Hi, I'm Tim Gamma from Gamma Tree Experts. When it comes to tree care, don't let a rookie with a chainsaw pinch hit for you. Always lead off with the pros from Gamma Tree Experts. Call our team of certified arborists to inspect your valuable trees and shrubs today. Knowledge and quality are hallmarks of our reputation for 60 years. For pruning, fertilization, or removal, call today at 314-725-6159 or visit us at gammatree.com. Your trees deserve the best care.
I'm Piera Palazzolo, VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at Amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WebNow1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
Calling all runners. Register now for the Cardinals 5K on Saturday, April 18th, and you can take a victory lap on the field at Busch Stadium. Don't miss this chance to bring the whole family for a fun St. Louis 5K race that brings fans together to support kids in the community. The Cardinals 5K, Saturday, April 18th. Register now at cardinals.com/5K. And for more information, just head to KMOX.com/events.
Working hard but still falling behind? Learn how real estate investing can help you build income and move forward with purpose. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
100 years of service and still at your service. KMOX.
Back at it on a Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX, 314-436-7900. If you want to give us a call, that's how you do it. You can also text into that same phone number. You can send a message to my Twitter at Matt Pauley on air, or you can also do a video stream chat as well, and we'll get some of those. We'll get your calls in just a second. I got to do this one, though. And actually, Aces fan 2222, I'm going to ask you, if you are around a phone, call me right now. Call me right now at 314-436-7900 because I want to talk to you. The message is, if Chaim Bloom didn't hire Yadier Molina, this team would not be winning. I really believe that Yadier is giving Oliver Marmol good advice to know how to win ball games. Oliver can't win without Yadi. Call me. I want you to give me what you think is going on. I want you to tell me this purported advice that Yadier Molina can have a profound impact, positive on this team and on this organization. I am not attempting to diminish his impact at all. It's really cool he's around. I'm happy that he is. I think especially from an individual standpoint, but this is not a caddy on a green saying, hey, there's a lie over there. Make sure when you hit this putt to take notice of it. So please call me. Tell me about this advice that Yadi is giving Oliver Marmol. Let's grab Randy, who has given us a call. Hey, Randy, you are on Sports Open Line.
Yep. How you doing, Matt?
Doing all right.
I agree with what you guys said. They ought to send Roy Croft down and bring Richard Fitz up. Is Richard Fitz ready to come up from Memphis?
I don't think you wouldn't bring him up without him coming up as a starter. They're stretching him out as a starter right now, so I don't think he would be the guy.
One more quick question: is Flaherty pitching Saturday for Detroit?
I believe so. Yeah, I think it's Valdez on Friday. Let's see, I've got this in front of me. I can tell you, it's Valdez on Friday, Flaherty on Saturday, and Verlander on Sunday. That's going to be the pitchers for the Tigers in that series. But yeah, I don't think Fitz is the guy to go into the bullpen. I think you're setting him up to be your sixth starter at some point when you need that sixth starter. Is this Aces fan? Aces fan. I was looking for a call. Now, and I'm not trying to diminish Aaron, who is giving us a call. But I was just excited to have that conversation. Let's see what Aaron's got. You're on Sports Open Line.
No, hey, I think that, any impact from certainly someone with so much, validity to their voice that's going to be valuable to the franchise, especially coming from Yadi. If you're just looking at the small sample size at the beginning of the season, you can also acknowledge how easily this team could be probably 0-6 right now as well. And so I think that you have to take that into account. I want to see where it gets us in 50, 60 games from now, how the continued voice and how continued, how much Yadi has the ear of the franchise as well going forward. And I would like to see it grow. Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah. Appreciate the phone call. Again, look, this is I'm so glad that Yadier Molina's more active in the organization. I don't think it's a scenario where he's sitting in the dugout and Oliver Marmol's about to make one decision and Yadi says, no, you got to do this. And then that's the decision that impacts a win or a loss. And we've gotten messages from this guy before. And I'm really happy that Yadi's around and he's going to have a positive impact. But to sit here and say that this would be a terrible team that wouldn't be above 500 and would be 0-6 if not for Molina, that's just where I think we're overstating things a little bit. And can't we just be happy that a great former player, one of the smartest players to have ever played the game, and somebody who knows the game as well as anybody, can't we just be happy that he's back in the organization and that he's involved without trying to overstate the impact of what he's got, what he's doing? I know people don't like to hear this, but Oliver Marmol's a good manager and he knows what he's doing. And if the team would have given him better players over the years and had given him more tools over the years, and that's another thing, Yadier Molina is a tool for Oliver Marmol. He's when you've got Yadi in spring training working with all these guys, it's going to pay out dividends. But it's not this thing that Yadier Molina, Oliver Marmol is probably teaching Yadi as much about just how to, in terms of game management as anything. And they both have a ton of respect for each other. Let's grab Jerry, who has given us a call. Hey, Jerry, you're on a Gray Bar Sports Open Line.
Hey, Matt. I didn't see the game. I heard parts of it. I recorded it for later. So you can help me understand what happened today with the pickoff play. 50 years ago, I played in Little League and then junior high and high school. And you always run the runner back to the base he came from for reasons that are inherently obvious. And yet watching baseball for the last, 15 or 20 years, you seldom see that being a priority. The commentators never mention it when a play's botched. You're supposed to run the runner back to the base he came from. Have I missed something, or did they do that today, or what happened?
No, look, Justin Brule had a really good game, but he threw the ball to the other fielder. I don't remember who it was off the top of my head, too early, giving the runner the opportunity to then take third. And with that extended the play long enough for the runner to take the other runner to take second. So no, I think you're right on there. And if you were listening to the call right here on KMOX, I think Ricky was right on top of it. The moment that they threw the ball that one extra time and the runner took off for third, Ricky was right on it, taking note of the fact that was a bad decision.
Yeah, I heard the highlights, so I didn't hear the actual description of the play, but it just seems like I don't see major leaguers do that, and I didn't know if there was a change in thought there, but that seems so inherently obvious that I'm surprised when it doesn't happen.
Yeah, Jerry, I appreciate the phone call. It's a good point, and I don't think anything has changed. I think sometimes when you're in that rundown as the one with the ball, you just have to be a little bit more patient on when you get rid of the ball at the very last second. This is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
There's a difference between liking a house and actually getting it. Redfin is built to make up that difference and close the gap between finding and owning the home for you. Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents, so when you find a home you love, you're not a step behind when it's time to make an offer. That means less watching great homes disappear and more focus on the ones you'll actually move into and call home. Redfin helps turn saved listings into real addresses. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
The smartest way to spend your money is not to. Straight Talk offers free 5G phones for new and existing customers on Verizon's 5G network. So the refund money I don't spend on that free phone is the refund money I get to keep for my family. Smart.
Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Taxes and fees apply. Plan purchase required for free phone offers. Copyright 2026 Verizon.
If you're listening to KMOX, there is a very good chance that you are a fan of baseball. And right now, FanDuel is giving you a chance to call your shot with Daily Dingers. Joining the action is easy. You just make your free pick on who's hitting a home run in their game tonight. And if you're right, you'll get a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. And it's just another reason why FanDuel is the home of home runs. So go through the scorecard tonight, figure out who you like, and then place your bet at FanDuel.com/Missouri. That's FanDuel.com/Missouri to opt in for Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. FanDuel, an official partner of MLB. Must be 21 or over and present in Missouri. No purchase necessary. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Everyone needs to have at least one person in their corner in life. When you don't, it's an extremely lonely and frightening place to be. But knowing you have that one person gives you peace and hope. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Since 1988, myself and my firm have been in so many corners for so many clients for so many years. We became the largest injury firm in the world for a reason, and it's not even close. We fought like hell for you. We fight the bullies, automobile insurance companies, the makers of unsafe products, medical providers who injured or killed their own patients. It has been such an honor and made my life complete. If you ever need us, it's easy. On your mobile device or computer, visit forthepeople.com, and then we get to work 24/7. Whether you're hurt in a car crash, injured on the job, or have questions about your Social Security, we're here for you. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Tech, sponsored by Lendseek.
Rivian is going to make robo-taxis for Uber in a deal worth more than $1.2 billion for the EV maker. Uber announced it's going to purchase 10,000 fully autonomous R2 vehicles with an option for another 40,000. The Rivian R2 robo-taxis are scheduled to be available in 2028, with Uber launching the service in San Francisco and Miami before expanding to other markets. I'm Jason Brooks.
My name is Christine, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, was a healthy 34-year-old, and 3 months later, he was gone. Thankfully, he had life insurance. Ethos made it so easy. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. 100% online, no medical exam. Life insurance didn't take away the loss, but it did give us the space to just grieve.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/protect. Ethos.com/protect. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. We're proud to offer high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids starting at just $98. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and hear the difference today by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Veterans and active duty service members, when your call to service ends, your mission doesn't have to. Go from GI to IT in just a few months at My Computer Career. Prepare for a high-demand career in cybersecurity, protecting people, systems, and institutions from real cyber threats. Cyber warriors are needed now. Will you answer the call? Go to mycomputercareer.edu/CWP to learn more. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. An Elite CompTIA certification partner. VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
New tax resolution firms are popping up every day with high-paid celebrity endorsers, advertising ridiculous claims in their TV ads. That's why they have the tiny, unreadable disclaimers at the bottom of the screen. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. Our ads never have those ridiculous, fast-talking, tiny disclaimers at the end because, simply put, there are no guarantees when it comes to the IRS and wiping out tax bills. And we don't make promises we can't keep. Of course, there are ways the Lance Story Law Firm can help resolve your tax debt, but no company can guarantee it will eliminate it. This is why their clients call the Lance Story Law Firm when those promises don't pan out. If you have tax problems, you have legal problems. Call me, Lance Drury in St. Louis at 314-260-6120 or visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
The trusted voice of St. Louis. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. Artemis 2 astronauts are bound for the moon, as heard on NASA TV.
Integrity GPS processing.
Outstanding, Stan. We see the same, and we have a beautiful moonrise. We're headed right at it.
The 32-story moon rocket blasted off from Florida's Kennedy Space Center last hour, carrying 3 Americans and 1 Canadian. More from CBS's Christian Benavides at Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
This is the first crewed mission to the moon since 1972. It's planned as a 9.5-day mission, passing the far side of the moon.
If all goes well, the astronauts will see and photograph regions of the moon never seen by human eyes.
The nearly 10-day mission will see them fly around the moon and set a distance record before coming home. 1 hour from now, President Trump will deliver an address to the nation. CBS White House reporter Linda Kenyon has details.
The White House says President Trump will discuss Operation Epic Fury, which it describes as a decisive campaign of American strength that is systematically dismantling the Iranian regime's ability to threaten the United States and the free world. Ahead of the speech, the president said Iran's president has asked for a ceasefire, something Tehran has flatly denied.
Some news from the UK about President Trump.
President Trump has told the Telegraph newspaper here that he's seriously considering pulling the USA out of NATO over the allies' reluctance to join the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran, a sentiment he echoed in a separate phone interview with the Reuters news agency. Trump referred to the alliance, co-founded by the U.S. in the ashes of post-war Europe, a paper tiger, and said Russian President Putin sees it that way too.
That's CBS's Vicki Barker reporting. The Supreme Court has heard arguments on the legality of President Trump's executive order that would ban birthright citizenship. Solicitor General John Sauer argued the 14th Amendment's clause was adopted to grant citizenship to freed slaves and their children, not to children born to people who are here illegally or temporarily. Justice Sonia Sotomayor.
The proponents of both acts said everyone who's born in the U.S. will be citizens.
And Justice Neil Gorsuch seemed skeptical of the administration's argument.
Why wouldn't we, even if we were to apply your own test, come to the conclusion that the fact that someone might be illegal is immaterial?
A 7.4 magnitude offshore quake has struck in the Molucca Sea region northeast of Indonesia, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. A tsunami alert has been issued along the coasts of Indonesia, the Philippines, and Malaysia. This is CBS News.
The stars shine brighter on CBS Mornings.
This is a slam dunk.
So cute.
Gail came in singing for me today.
On CBS Mornings.
At 7:03, some drizzle and 60 degrees downtown at the Arch. The St. Louis Police Department is mourning the loss of a 32-year veteran police officer. 58-year-old Gregory Triplett died following a medical emergency during a training exercise today. Funeral arrangements are pending. As you heard from CBS News, the 4 astronauts headed to the moon have reached orbit. An hour into the flight, the upper stage boosted the Orion capsule Integrity and its crew into a higher orbit around the Earth. Tomorrow night, they'll fire Orion's main engine to escape Earth's gravity and head for the moon, 248,000 miles away. People around the country gathered at watch parties to witness the launch.
It's very exciting to hear about creativity and exploration. I'm a writer, and so I'm not really a scientist or an engineer, but I think that there's a lot of artistic value in this idea of exploration and creativity.
A new St. Louis City pilot program could put new social gatherings right outside your door.
The Welcoming Public Spaces pilot program allows for groups to apply to have underutilized roadways closed to vehicles and turned into areas for people to gather. Well, the obvious vision might be a European streetscape with outdoor restaurant seating in the streets. St. Louis City traffic engineer Kyle Nelson says this pilot program is open to residents also.
I could see a neighborhood group picking out kind of a street in their neighborhood that they would like to see, sort of like a little pocket park where people can come and gather.
The program has no requirements and permits can be given for up to 3 months starting at the end of May and running through August. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
And the forecast for tonight, 58 for tomorrow, showers and some storms. High 79. Right now, drizzle and 60 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Retirement planning isn't about timing the market. If it were, we'd all be retired by Tuesday. It's about timing your life, income streams, taxes, healthcare, and making sure everything works together. No guessing, no hoping, no drama. Check out the show Wealth and Wisdom with Gary Goldberg here on KMOX Saturday mornings at 7 a.m. Let's get organized, or checkwithgary.com.
There's a difference between liking a house and actually getting it. Redfin is built to make up that difference and close the gap between finding and owning the home for you. Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents, so when you find a home you love, you're not a step behind when it's time to make an offer. That means less watching great homes disappear and more focus on the ones you'll actually move into and call home. Redfin helps turn saved listings into real addresses. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
If you're only good to your new friends, you're not going to have any old ones. Straight Talk gets it. That's why new and existing customers get free 5G phones on Verizon's 5G network. Pretty simple, really. You keep good people by being good people.
Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Taxes and fees apply. Plan purchase required for free phone offers. Copyright 2026 Verizon.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
We are back here on KMOX. It is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line. My name is Matt Pauley. Into our second hour of the program. We're going to talk some college basketball here in just a second. We are looking forward to the Final Four. That's going to be coming up on Saturday, not too far from here in Indianapolis. That is great. That is fantastic for Illinois basketball fans. Those fans would probably travel just about anywhere for a Final Four, but the fact that they've got a relatively short trip to Indianapolis is certainly a good thing. Illinois will match up against UConn in the first game on Saturday, Michigan against Arizona in the second game, and then the respective winners will match up against each other in the national championship game. We're really happy to be able to go back to our guest line right now, and been looking forward to this conversation here for a while because he is the very, very great voice of Illinois basketball and football. He is Brian Barnhart. You follow him on social media at bbarn64. Brian, appreciate you taking some time with us today. How are you?
Hey, great to be on, and I'm actually in Indianapolis already.
Awesome.
So, getting ready to spend a few days, hopefully more than a few.
I know it's about the team and it's about the coaches and everybody, but I just got to ask you, because as a broadcaster, there's very few things that are more exciting and more exhilarating than broadcasting your team in the Final Four when they win that last game and you know that what the next game is. Can you just talk to me about, just as a broadcaster and being so connected to this program, what your emotions have been like?
Well, you've been here in the sports world too. You kind of know the emotion of sports anyway, but there are just a handful of events. I remember the one 21 years ago, of course, in St. Louis, going there, and that was the team that was expected to go there. The D. Brown, Darren Williams, Luther Head team. But there's certain pinnacles of each sport that if you're in baseball, obviously you'd love to call a World Series, or if you're in the football world, you'd like to be in the Super Bowl and announce one of those. And if you're in college basketball, or in college football, those championship games, the Final Four, or the ultimate championship that Indiana won this last year in college football, that's where you want to be. And that's the reason we all kind of get into this business, is to do games like that. And you do a lot of games that are not like that. But, you kind of work your way through those. You prepare. I always prepare the same way for an exhibition game in October for basketball as I would for this game coming up on Saturday night. So my preparation is the same, but it is obviously a big difference in the electricity as you work your way through the tournament. Each round, it just increases, and there's nothing like an NCAA tournament crowd, and especially when you get to that Elite Eight game like we had in Houston the other night, where there was a lot of Iowa people, but there were more Illinois people. I think they brought up all the Nebraska tickets, I think is what they did, but it was electric in there, and boy, you live as a broadcaster, sports broadcaster, you live for moments like that.
The Coach Underwood story is fantastic, and yeah, he's a K-State guy. I'm a K-State guy, so I've always had a soft spot in my heart for him, and I think he's a really, really good coach. And just knowing his story and knowing being a JUCO coach that did it at a really high level, and then taking a pay cut at one point to go to K-State as an assistant, and getting the opportunities for other head coaching jobs when he was passed over there, and moving up. And his answer the other day about playing anywhere, anytime because of his path. I mean, his path is. I'm not trying to make too much of it, Brian, but it's very American dreamish when you consider where he's at right now.
It really is. You're exactly right. And, he was junior college coach. The fact that he was an assistant for 10 years at Western Illinois. How about that? Yeah. Most assistants don't stick around that long, especially, at a smaller school like that. And worked his way up, as you said. And, the story, of course, coming out of college, I don't know if you know this, but he was a radio TV major in college at K-State, and he went to take a job as a general manager or something at a little station in Nebraska somewhere, I think. And he went up there and found out how little it paid, and he said, "I think I'll go do something else." And so he he got into coaching. I know he didn't make a lot of money in all those early years that he was working and riding in passenger vans for junior college games. I've done that. I've done junior college basketball games before and ridden in a 12-passenger van and ridden all over the state of Oklahoma and other places. So I know exactly how he feels that way. But yeah, he's a basketball lifer. He's worked hard. He understands the game. He adapts really well. I mean, you think about it, Matt. We had, 3 or 4 years ago, we were throwing the ball inside to Kofi Coburn all the time. And now it's a 5-out offense with, some European players and some other guys who can really shoot it. And so he's changed with the times. He's changed well with the NIL. I think his background as a junior college coach, putting together a newer team every year, is kind of benefiting him now.
You mentioned the impact of the European players because there are a good number of them on the team, and just the idea of adapting. Was that an easy thing, do you feel like, for him to do, to just see the direction that things were going and knowing the way that you had to build a roster to find a high level of success?
Yeah, I think so. He was, he obviously they built the relationships. Orlando Antigua and Jeff Alexander on his staff, they make a lot of flights overseas when the off season's going on to build the relationships. And I'm guessing that's only going to continue to flourish. I'm guessing also there's probably be some copycats at some point. We'll try to tap into that too. But yeah, I think he's done a really good job sensing that when you look at the NBA, think about the draft anymore in the last 10 years. We all think we follow college basketball. Well, these guys ought to be all the top picks. And then all of a sudden they're picking guys from Belgium or they're picking guys from Serbia or Croatia. And you're like, wait a minute, I've never heard of that guy. Who is that? And so the game has blossomed. I mean, the David Stern and the NBA folks, spread the game around the world. And so now you've got, athletes over there that grow up pretty young playing basketball like our guys have at a very early age. And playing some really good leagues over there, and then wind up getting an opportunity in the U.S. in college. And so with NIL, obviously, there's some money involved too. But I think he's really tapped into that, and his staff have done a great job with that.
They did not have a great end to the regular season, into the Big Ten tournament, including their loss to Wisconsin. They had lost 3 of 5. All of a sudden, this narrative started to get pushed that they're not going to win the close games. I know he very much pushed back on that in one of the press conference settings, but there was still that loss against Wisconsin. I know that had a lot of Illinois fans very worried as they got into the tournament, and they've played better and better teams, and they've continued to win. And none of these games have been particularly close, so maybe this is a flawed question in that right. But what has kind of clicked for this team as they've won these 4 games that they've played in the tournament?
I think the big answer is defense. They've just done a much better job defensively. And we saw a little bit of this, starting with the Missouri game, frankly, in St. Louis back in December. They had lost the Nebraska game at the buzzer, 83-80, and they retooled their defense a little bit, really focused in on it. They shut down the Tigers pretty effectively in that game, at the bragging rights game, and then went on a 12-game winning streak. During a good chunk of that streak, they played really good defense. Then Kylan Boswell got hurt. Andrei Stojakovic got hurt, and those numbers started to slip a little bit again. And then in the second Wisconsin game at the tournament in Chicago, Boswell got in foul trouble early, and he wasn't, quite able to do what he does defensively on the Wisconsin guards. And Stojakovic was still coming back. So those two guys are fully healthy, and the defense has just risen back to where it was early in that 12-game winning streak there in December and January, to where they're really tough to score on at times. And, of course, as you know, they have no trouble scoring. I mean, they get to the foul line a lot. They make enough threes. If they don't make them, they lead the country or near the top of the country in second chance points. They get a ton of offensive rebounds and extra possessions. And if by the time you add all that up and they don't foul, they don't send the other team to the line, you're up to 80, 85 points pretty quick. And if they play really good defense, they're really, really tough to beat.
We're talking with Brian Barnhart, the voice of Illini basketball. They're getting ready for their Final Four matchup against UConn on Saturday. That was quite the way for UConn to get to this moment. Up until the very last second, it did not look like they would be getting to this Final Four win. Still a very good team. I'm not trying to take anything away from them for sure. When you take a look at this matchup, what is the thing or two that Illinois has to do to have some success?
Well, I think one thing that'll be totally different, Matt, is that the two teams, well, especially Illinois, are quite a bit different from when we played UConn back after Thanksgiving. It was interesting in that box score, Jake Davis, who now starts, played like 8 minutes, took one shot. Mihajlo Petrovic, who doesn't play except in mop-up duty now, played 18 minutes. Brandon Lee, similar story, played like 11. Stojakovic scored 3 points. That was the last game, the day after Thanksgiving, that Wagner scored under 10 points. He had one basket. He had 3 points. So I think the whole shift of the offense, they changed their offense a bit, giving Wagner the point guard duties after that game. So a lot, UConn will be looking at a different team than they saw the last time. But I think Illinois, with their passing, with their rebounding, if they can control the glass, which is really what it always comes down to. It's funny, when I'm doing a game, I'm looking at the stat monitor, and the score obviously is the key, but I'm looking at rebounds. And if Illinois is up 7, 8, 9 rebounds during the course of a game, they're usually ahead by a significant amount. If they're only up 1 or 2, or they're down in rebounds like they were to Michigan and Connecticut and so forth, well, then they're in trouble. They're either close, loss, or they lose by double digits, which they did to Michigan and UConn. So the rebounding is really the key. It always comes down to that offensive rebounding. They need to make their free throws. They've been pretty good at that all year. They've had a game or two here or there that they lost. Alabama, most notably in Chicago earlier this year, where they missed some free throws. But I just think the rebounding, the toughness, to me, Matt, when they beat Houston the other night, that was a really, really tough, physical Kelvin Sampson team. And the Illini just, snuffed out their offense with their great defense, and they played tough and they played physical. And to me, that showed me that they've got a potential to win this whole thing. If they play like that, like they did against Houston, then they've got a shot.
Final question for Brian Barnhart. So Illinois, if they win, they could potentially have an all Big Ten championship game. If Michigan were to beat Arizona, the Big Ten has had a spectacular NCAA tournament overall, with a lot of teams winning games, a lot of teams getting deep into the tournament. Can you just speak to the impressive level that we have seen of basketball played by this conference here through the entire run of the NCAA tournament?
Well, I can tell you that and aside from Wisconsin, who lost that game to a really good High Point team, when I was filling out my bracket for fun, I'm like, and I'm biased because I see the Big Ten all the time, but I just couldn't help but move a lot of Big Ten teams along in the brackets in all of the regions, and I thought Wisconsin was going to go further. Of course, they got upset, but I mean, Purdue's just really, really good, and Michigan is just outstanding, of course. And, you just go down the list of those teams near the top of the Big Ten. Nebraska, really tough to beat. Iowa, with their really good defense, keeps them in games. So, I mean, you had the what was it, the 9th place team in the Big Ten make it to the Elite Eight. That kind of tells you everything you need to know about the upper part of the Big Ten. Now, the bottom half of the league did struggle. That's one of the few times we've seen that in recent years, where Penn State really struggled, and some of those other teams that were at the bottom, Maryland and Northwestern and so forth. But they've still got really good coaches, and they scheme really well, and it would be great. I'd be thrilled if we can get the Big Ten showdown in the final, because it'll end all this talk about the last time the Big Ten's won a national title was 2000 with Michigan State. And so we've had some teams that have come close, including Illinois in 05. But let's get that streak over with, and hopefully it's for Illinois too.
Well, Brian, I hope you have 2 more games left on your schedule for the year. Have a wonderful, wonderful time at the Final Four. Enjoy the call. Have a great call. Thank you so much for your time. And hopefully we are talking to you maybe about a national championship here in a week or so.
Well, that's the goal. And thanks for having me on anytime.
Awesome. Very good.
Great to be on KMOX. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate your time. That is Brian Barnhart, the voice of Illini football and men's basketball. And man, that's awesome. I can't imagine just the opportunity to be broadcasting a Final Four again, and, for a team that you follow along. The being a team broadcaster is one of the greatest jobs out there. And then when that team does special things and being able to be along for the ride and do your job and do it at a high level the way Brian does, it's pretty special stuff. So I appreciate Brian taking some time with us from Indianapolis, where the Final Four is going to be played on Saturday. Illinois against UConn, and then Michigan against Arizona. We're going to jump back into Cardinals baseball. We'll again give you an opportunity to chime in on some things if you would like to. We'll talk some Blues hockey before we get done with the show tonight. We are taking you till 8 o'clock. This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. We're proud to offer high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids starting at just $98. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and hear the difference today by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Save big money on your spring project at Menards. Fresh green grass makes your yard look effortlessly elegant. And Menards offers a wide variety of grass seed options for every type of yard. A 3-pound bag of sunny or shady area grass seed will provide you a lush lawn this spring. On sale now through April 5th. Plus, visit Menards.com and check out all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
An important message from S&L Coins. S&L Coins pays top dollar for your gold and silver coins, old currency, gold-filled jewelry, scrap gold and silver, silver plating, gold and silver bullion. Get a quote with a call to S&L at 544-3600. S&L Coins, 544-3600. Or visit S&L Coins at 9300 Gravois, just east of McKenzie. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 Saturday. Before you sell, call S&L 544-3600. Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app. Ready to hit a home run with your backyard? Call Artistic Decks. We're celebrating 25 years of A-plus service with massive rollback pricing. Get a professional custom-built deck for less. Hit it out of the park with Artistic Decks. Call 314-280-0821 today.
There's a difference between liking a house and actually getting it. Redfin is built to make up that difference and close the gap between finding and owning the home for you. Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents, so when you find a home you love, you're not a step behind when it's time to make an offer. That means less watching great homes disappear and more focus on the ones you'll actually move into and call home. Redfin helps turn saved listings into real addresses. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Pros, just because something on the job runs out doesn't mean you have to. Order it on the Lowe's app. My Lowe's Pro Rewards members get free same-day delivery on eligible orders over $25. Get the fasteners, hardware, or tools you need to keep the job moving. Order by 2 p.m. and get eligible in-stock items delivered right to your job site by 8 p.m. Members get more at Lowe's. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Subject to availability. Restrictions and terms at lowes.com/shipping terms. Subject to change.
Still here, still trusted. The voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
We're back at it here on KMOX. It's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line. My name is Matt Pauley. If you want to chime in, now is the time to do so. 314-436-7900. 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you text. You can tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air. You can also leave a comment on the video stream if you would like to, as well, as we're continuing to talk through where the Cardinals are at. 6 games for small amount of games played. 6 games into the season. We got a message on the stream. Space Magic says it kind of feels like 2024, where they keep fighting for their wins. Yeah, I think the overall vibe is a little bit better than that year, but again, let's revisit this as we go along through the course of the year. I'll be honest with you, and I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it. I struggle at this time of the year talking about the team because I don't yet know what's real and what's not real. So you could call in and say what the pitching has done is great and they're going to continue to do this. And, maybe you can call in and say, hey, what the offense that we saw in the Rays series was fantastic. That's who this team is going to be. Or you can call in and say what we saw from the bullpen in the Mets series. That's who they're going to be. Maybe not. I don't know. And I just know for the moment, it has been fun to watch. Brandon sends in a message, says nobody knows who's going to go to the playoffs and win it. Can we just have fun and enjoy baseball and root for the team that we love? Why do fans have to be so negative? We could win the W. So, yeah, look, I get it. I understand. I understand where the negative fans are coming from, and I understand the lack of belief from some in the organization, because there's going to be some people who look at what has happened in recent years and say, and they put the blame upon people who have been in the organization and are still in the organization. There's still a group of people out there that have just lived the good life when it comes to Cardinals baseball, and they have never been through much of a downturn, and they don't like the idea of the team taking a step back, the team not spending as much money, the team trading away veterans and trying to supplement and augment the overall level of talent in the organization. And you're just not going to go for that. And that's okay. And you can be upset if you want to be. I'm not going to tell you to be upset or not be upset. If your goal is like World Series or bust, you're probably going to end up being disappointed this year. That's probably not in the cards for this year's team. But at the same time, enjoying a team that really seems to care. And I think that's I'm not trying to sit here and say that teams from recent years didn't care. And maybe it's just more of a fact that there's so much more youth on this team right now that you just see the exuberance coming out. But I think there's something to be said. I really do. I think there's something to be said for handing the keys to the car over to some guys that you can build with. JJ Weatherholt's going to be here for a while. In fact, John Heyman was reporting yesterday that the Cardinals are already interested in giving him a contract extension where they would buy out his club control years and his arbitration years, and then you would get a few more years on the backside. So the way deals like that work is players are cost controlled. For the first few years in Major League Baseball, they get paid a very low amount of money. And then after you do that, you go into arbitration, and that's where you start to make a little bit more money and where your salary is more connected to your production. And then eventually, once you get through the club control years and the arbitration years and everything, you get to a point where you can hit free agency, and that's where you can make big money. What we're seeing more and more of, and we've seen a couple deals already happen this week with some other teams out there, you'll go take a guy who is literally making in the hundreds of thousands of dollars as a major leaguer and give them $3 million, $4 million, $5 million a year. And so they're making a whole bunch more money on the front end of the contract. But by doing that, you buy out some of the years at the end of the contract where you're going to push back their free agency. Like a great example of that, and it's not an apples to apples because he was in the big leagues at the time, but the pitcher that the Cardinals faced off against today, Freddie Peralta. Freddie Peralta was very, very valuable on the trade market, largely because of the salary that he had. So when he was very early on in his career, he did that where he was in his club control and his option and his, even before his arbitration years, and he took millions of dollars from the Brewers at that time, but then buying out some of the years on the back end. So like his base salary for this year is $8 million. Freddie Peralta, that is a deal of all deals. So you pay a lot less on the back end of that deal because you gave him a bunch more money on the front end. And for the players, it's really good because they're not making very much money at the beginning. And generally speaking, money now is worth more than money in the future. So if you're making $8 million or $5 million right now, that is more impactful than making $5 million 5 years from now, just with inflation and all that. So you give them a little bit more money now, but then at the end, it ends up being a really good situation. So there's talk about maybe doing that with Weatherholt. I don't know if he would be in on that. I don't know how far they've gone. Like, again, this is just it was kind of a throwaway type thing from John Heyman that he mentioned that the Cardinals would be interested in doing that. And we haven't heard anything more beyond that. But if there's the opportunity to lock him in, same thing with Mason Wynn, why wouldn't you do it? Those are two guys that you are going to be building around, and just having them locked in for a good number of years as this team continues to move forward. I think it'd be a good thing to do. Now, as a player, especially as time goes by, this applies a little bit more to Wynn. It applies a lot more to Wynn than it does to Weatherholt. Wynn has more major league service time. He's got more times in the big league. So he is closer to getting to that free agent point. There becomes a point in time where you're coming up on arbitration, you're coming up on free agency. It's no longer going to make as much sense because you don't want to push back the timeline on when you can start making legit big money as a true unrestricted free agent. I don't think Wynn is there quite yet, but he's closer to it. But for Weatherholt, I think it would make a little bit of sense if they could pull something like that off. So we will all we can do, wait and see, right? Wait and see whether or not they are going to pull something like that off. But I think it would be good for the team. A text message from the 314 says, speaking of phrases, mine for the year is let the kids play. One of the things that generally I think managing a roster can be a challenging thing because you want to keep your roster fresh. You want to keep as many guys playing as possible. Essentially, the Cardinals roster right now has two position players that they're not playing. Jose Fermin has, I believe, appeared in one game, has not gotten an at bat, and we have not seen Joel Pozo quite yet. The Cardinals in the early going are going with a pretty base group of players and letting them go out every day. And on some years, if you're doing that, I might be a little bit worried about a portion of the roster not being fresh and not being ready to go and getting a little bit, rusty and all. I'm not worried about that at all right now. This young group who you want to come together, and you can go up and down and talk about why each player is important. So that maybe Pedro Paez is the one guy that I might pull out of that a little bit. I kind of think what what you're going to get with him. But in terms of being part of the core moving forward and also the growth that you want to see from these players, Weatherholt, I'm just going in order of what they batted today. Weatherholt, Herrera, Burleson, Wynn, Gorman, and Scott definitely in that group. Walker would be in that group as well. He didn't start today. And then those are the guys that I want to see playing almost every day until something happens that dictates that they shouldn't be playing every day. And we had the conversation earlier today with Bernie Miklasz about Jordan Walker, because Walker's overall numbers are fine. 260 hitter, 890 OPS, slugging better than 500. Like they're fine. At the same time, he has had, after having a really solid start to the year, his last 2 games, he is 0 for 6 with 4 strikeouts. And today did not play especially well in the outfield when he came in later. You just hope that that is not the direction that he's going, that what we saw really in his first 4 games is more who he is than what we've seen in the last 2. And I wouldn't even, I would have no clue what's going to play there. So before the Mets series, we were getting messages from people saying the Cardinals aren't going to win a game against the Mets. They're going to get swept. Well, those messages are coming in. We got one. It wouldn't shock me if the Cardinals get swept in Detroit. Skubal, Valdez, Flaherty. Now, I'm kind of having fun with you because of the messages that we got before the Mets series. To your point, that's really good pitching. That is really good pitching. Detroit has, but they're not facing. Wait a minute, they're not facing Skubal. That's the problem with what you're saying. They're facing Valdez, Flaherty, and Verlander. So take Skubal out and put Verlander in. The pitching matchups for the 3 games: McGreevy against Framber Valdez on Friday, Dustin May against Jack Flaherty on Saturday, and Kyle Leahy against Justin Verlander on Sunday. Still, your basic point kind of remains the same in the sense that Detroit's pitching is really, really good. But I think the Cardinals I think they'll be fine. They'll be all right, and it's gonna be fun to see what they do against that pitching. Valdez is the best guy that they'll face. They'll face him on Friday. You would think that Flaherty's always going to be motivated against his former team. Verlander had a tough first start. He comes in with a 12.27 ERA. You would think that's going to look better coming into this next matchup as well. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk a little St. Louis Blues hockey. They are going back at it tonight. We'll tell you all about it. We'll hear a little bit from Blues coach Jim Montgomery. That's next. You're locked in. It's the Graybar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX.
The thing that you need in the morning, when you first wake up.
Total Information AM.
I like to be informed with the news and like to know, like in the mornings, I like to know what's going on.
Debbie Monterey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman.
It's always smart to know what's going on.
Your morning news and information.
The national and local news.
Weather.
Sports.
I like the traffic reports.
Total Information AM.
I listen to it in the mornings. It really gets me going.
Total Information AM. Weekdays 5 to 9 on the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Neovitin began with one doctor's mission to help others feel their best. After years of caring for patients, Dr. Ken Ribicki, a St. Louis physician, created Neovitin, a line of multivitamins designed with quality, safety, and everyday wellness in mind. Each formula is made in the U.S. using the finest domestic and international ingredients to support real people living real lives. Discover the difference today with Neovitin, available at Schnucks, Dierbergs, and neovitin.com. Neovitin, trusted nutrition from St. Louis for St. Louis.
The pressure on data centers has never been greater. Whether you're expanding capacity, supporting AI workloads, or building new facilities, Graybar works alongside you with the solutions, specialists, and logistics expertise you need today. We help you power performance every step of the way, so your operation is ready now. Yep. Graybar does that.
Here in St. Louis, word of mouth still matters, and I'm pretty careful about who I recommend, especially when it comes to something as personal as estate planning. I'm Tom Ackerman. My family has been working with the Laderman Law Firm for over 20 years now, and the reason is simple. They don't just create documents and send you on your way. They help make sure your plan works. Because let's be honest, life changes. Family needs and circumstances change. Laws change. But most estate plans don't change over time as needs, circumstances, and laws change changed. They're outdated, sitting in a drawer. People assume they're fine, and their plan will work when they need it to work. At the Laterman Law Firm, it's not a one-time transaction. It's an ongoing process. They build a plan to protect your family and your assets, and then for a fixed annual fee, they help keep it up to date as both your life and assets change. Check out the Laterman Law Firm at latermanlaw.com or give them a call at 314-514-9100. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint by a lot, backed with our 25-year transferable warranty. Paint a house, shield a home. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, steel, aluminum, cedar, and more. We are the only coating company selected by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where all 3 episodes concentrate on unpainted brick. If you maintain or own a business with a tired-looking building, you owe it to yourself to look at Rhino Shield and our beautifully durable color schemes. Evaluations are free. We're making buildings pop and be noticed again, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks, exceeding expectations every day with our products, people, and performance. Now is the time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or go to 877-25rhino.com and see how honest and transparent we really are. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
There's a difference between liking a house and actually getting it. Redfin is built to make up that difference and close the gap between finding and owning the home for you. Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents, so when you find a home you love, you're not a step behind when it's time to make an offer. That means less watching great homes disappear and more focus on the ones you'll actually move into and call home. Redfin helps turn saved listings into real addresses. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
Trust is earned. That's why I've stuck with Straight Talk. Same price since 2009 on Verizon's 5G network. Cause shoot, anyone can make a promise. Keeping it for years, that means something.
Now plans starting at $25 a month with 4 lines. Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Same price claim applies only to the base monthly price of our $45 plan from October 2009 to present.
Built on a century. Focused on today. The voice of St. Louis. KMOX.
Back in on a Gray Bar Sports Open Line here on KMOX. We are taking you until 8 o'clock this evening. At 8, I don't know what's coming up today. We don't have a Gas House Gang because we had Cardinals baseball on today during the noon hour. So Kyle Sixta, something I should have known and shouldn't be saying. I just realized as I was talking, I don't know what's up after the 8 o'clock news.
We have the Circuit of Success at 8 o'clock.
Okay, Circuit of Success at 8 o'clock right here on KMOX. Be tuned in for that. So no Gas House Gang today. Again, the Cardinals had the day game today. So that's why we've got something a little bit different coming up this evening. Also this evening, the Blues, they are back at it. They are in LA. They are set to match up against the Kings. They last played on Monday, and they lost at San Jose 5-4. That ended a 4-game winning streak, and it was really a disappointing performance. They did not play well in that game. They did fight their way back into it, so you give them credit for that. But right now, like where they've kind of played themselves sort of back into playoff contention, and right now they're still 4 points out of a playoff spot. They've got 73 points. The Nashville Predators, who have played one more game than the Blues, they have 4 more points at 77. You also have Seattle, San Jose, Winnipeg, and the Kings, who are all in front of the Blues. So that loss the other night, that was not a great loss for the team. You would have, if they win that game, the conversations are even a little bit more different right now about where they are at in making a run for the postseason. So Jim Montgomery did speak to the media earlier today as the team had their morning skate. Talked a little bit about what the message is for the team going into this game this evening.
Just our habits, making sure we win one-on-one battles. We're around 40% for the first 2 periods. Our best period, the third period, we're 62%. It's a fundamental thing that we think creates our identity and allows us to play fast. The second part would be that reload that I talked about earlier. Our forwards really working for our D, and our D working for our forwards in the offensive zone.
Yeah, he touched on it a little bit right there, but yeah, even this late in the season, even as they're going on a bit of a run here, there clearly are still things that they very much do want to improve upon.
Yeah, I mean, we're really focused on, there was a lot of habits we didn't like coming into D zone. We weren't stopping like we had been, protecting middle ice, and our reloads by our forwards in the first two periods unfortunately gave up way too many odd man rushes. So it was really hard for us to hold the blue line and create turnovers, which has been a big part of our success lately.
Now, from a special team standpoint, he talked a bit about what he wants to see, both from his power play unit, also from the PK group tonight.
Our PK has been so good, that us not having a great night on the PK, and it's good because, they did something that not a lot of teams have done to us. So now we know how to play that, and we're going to get better from that. So that's good, but you don't want to give up three. The power play would look good. I think we've been seeing the power play start to converge at the net more consistently. The passing is on and off the tape better, and guys are heading to the back door, which is opening the slot or the guy on the back door. So we're getting more opportunities and shots directly in front of the net.
Now, from one of the good stories from Monday night was the fact that 2023 first round pick Theo Lindstein scored his first NHL goal in what was his 10th game. So now as he moves forward with a goal in hand, what are those expectations?
That's an area that we've talked to him a lot about. Kind of defers offensively. We want him to have a little more of a direct approach, and his skill level and his hockey sense are high end. He moves the puck on and off the tape really quick. He knows how to get the puck to the forwards in good spaces through the neutral zone. And him working on a shot and having a shot first attitude is something we want him to start having more and more consistently.
And then final thing from Jim Montgomery, again, the Blues in action tonight in LA as they are going to match up against the Kings. You think about the Kings, you think a lot about Anze Kopitar. What do you do when you game plan against a player like him?
Good question. It's, he plays so many minutes, so many important minutes. It's how good he is at helping his team win night in, night out. And he's done it with a lot of points and great defensive hockey. But the things he does, the sacrifices he does as a leader for this team is why they've had so much success and won a couple of cups.
That is Blues coach Jim Montgomery. I was the one I tend to be positive. I tend to see the path forward. I tend to look at things that if this goes right and this goes right and this goes right, these are the things that can end up happening. I do that a lot in a lot of different areas. That's just sort of my personality. I always look at things from if things turn in the right direction, how good can it actually be? Sometimes I get accused of being a homer because of that. I don't think I'm a homer. I just think across the board, I'm somebody who tries to and tends to look at things from a more positive standpoint. All that being said, because in recent years, it has felt like I've been the one keeping the light of hope on for the Blues at times where it did not look great for them. This was a year where I was among the many who had given up on them. I was among the many who, they would play themselves back to 8 points out of a playoff spot, and you would see the random social media thing or, the Blues have done this. If they win a couple more, yada, yada, yada. And I would somewhat scoff on it. And I just want to think now, I don't know what to think about this team because I do know they are still, in terms of teams in front of them and teams behind them, the Blues are still closer to being in last place than they are in a playoff spot. Now, the last place team is Vancouver. They have 50 points. The Blues have 73. So when I say closer, I'm talking about number of teams in front of them, number of teams behind them. I'm not talking about the points that they have because clearly with 73 points, they are much closer to 77 points than they are to 50 points. But just in terms of the number of teams that they would either have to jump over or fall back from if they were to go in one direction or the other. I do think that is one of the challenges here, that to get into a playoff spot, you have to jump Seattle and San Jose and Winnipeg and Los Angeles and Nashville. It's one thing if the Blues were the top team out of a playoff spot, 4 points behind Nashville, where they didn't have to worry about the other teams. but there are very rarely going to be, if ever, situations where the Blues are going to win and all those teams are going to lose. Now, at the same time, and I haven't done the research to see how often some of these teams are playing against each other. When you do have that many teams, you would assume there are times where they're going to match up against each other. So you're pretty, there's going to be a winner and a loser, and there's going to be an opportunity to move up a little bit. I really wish we were having this conversation with them coming off a win against San Jose, because then they would have 75 points. San Jose would be at 73. So it'd be one less team that they would have to jump over. They'd be within 2 points of a playoff spot. I'm not trying to make too much of a single loss, but man, it would have been really, really cool if they would have won that game the other night. They did not. They still have plenty of time if they want to climb the ladder, but they certainly have to win a lot more games than they lose before here and the end of the season. It's a double-edged sword because it's fun to see them make this run and win some games here late in the season. But I'm of the belief that this Blues team is not going to win anything at a super high level until they have super high level players, and you go get those all-star, superstar level players sometimes by drafting high. And it feels like the opportunity to draft as high as they would like, it has definitely been impacted in a negative way by them winning. But I never want to put a team down for winning, never want to put a team down for playing themselves back in to playoff contention. I'm happy they're doing that. So I am torn. I am a torn individual when it comes to what the Blues are doing right now. We're going to take one more break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the program. Again, you are locked in. It's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line. More in a moment right here on KMOX.
What if every time you spent money, you saved money too? With Achieve It Checking from Together Credit Union, you can do just that. Every debit card purchase is rounded up to the nearest dollar, and the spare change goes right into your savings. And here's the best part. Together Credit Union boosts your progress by matching qualifying savings up to $8 a month. It's a free checking account that helps you achieve more automatically. Learn more, or better yet, enroll today at togethercu.org. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
Spring into green with Seidenstricker Nobe Partners. For a limited time, we have 0% financing for 84 months on John Deere 1, 2, and 3E Series compact tractor packages with prices as low as $225 a month. Plus, we'll deliver it for free. Visit ascenpartners.com or one of our Missouri and Illinois John Deere locations. Seidenstricker Nobe, your partner for the land.
Offer valid through 4/30/2026. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Want to make the most of your tax refund? File with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it with a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Get ready to laugh out loud, St. Louis. The outrageous Broadway hit Spamalot is riding into the fabulous Fox Theater May 5th through the 17th. From the twisted minds of Monty Python, this Tony Award-winning musical brings you killer rabbits, dancing knights, and non-stop hilarity. It's the legend of King Arthur like you've never seen it before. More information can be found at KMOX.com/events.
Hey, Missouri, it's game time. Start betting like a pro with the world's largest sportsbook at your fingertips. Hi, I'm Derek Stevens. I'm a lifelong sports bettor, and I'm the owner of Circus Sports. It's sports betting the way it should be, with high limits, player-friendly pricing, exceptional customer service, and more. Download your new bookie at circusports.com. The action starts now, Missouri. Experience the difference with Circus Sports. Bet like a pro.
Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Giddy up! It's the Cardinal Cowboy. Is your garage door past its prime? Get a free repair or replacement quote from Renner Garage Door. Renner is America's oldest family-owned garage door company that serves both wholesale and retail markets. Right now, get $100 off a new garage door when you mention this ad. With trusted brands like Delden, Amar, LiftMaster, you know it's built to win. Renner's also hiring experienced techs and installers. RennerDoorSTL.com. Forward and back.
RENNER, RENNER.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Just a few minutes left on the program. It is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Again, we'll be back with you tomorrow. We've got our full 2-hour show tomorrow, 3 hours, including Redbird Rush Hour. No Cardinals action tomorrow. Cardinals are traveling tomorrow. They'll make their way to Detroit, and then they are going to be in action coming up on Friday against the Tigers. A reminder for you, it's opening day in Detroit on Friday, so that game is going to start at 12:10 in the afternoon, 11:15 for pregame. Kyle Sixta, we have a we have a special appearance from our very good friend Scott Warman. He is going to be handling the pre and the post coming up on Friday.
Sweet, Scott's the best.
He is the best. We're very, very happy to have him. My daughter, my youngest daughter, this is like the most harrowing thing for, not the most because it's not really that big of a deal. It happens to everybody. But coming up on 2-year-old daughter, she has to have a small outpatient surgery on Friday morning, and she has to go under anesthesia for it. And just as a dad who my oldest daughter never had anything like that, I know everything's going to be fine. Our doctor is absolutely awesome. But you get, you get worried about those things.
It's a little scary. I hope everything's going to be all right. But, like you said,
everything will be fine. Yeah.
They're great at what they do. But yeah, definitely hope everything's all right.
So Scott Warman's going to be in, and then Kevin Wheeler is going to host Sports Open Line on Friday night.
Going to be fun.
We'll talk more about that coming up tomorrow because I'll be in tomorrow for sure for that. Did want to mention, we're going to get a lot of questions this year about how folks are doing at Memphis. And a reminder, there's nothing stopping you from ever going online and looking at the Memphis stats on your own, but we'll keep you updated on what's going on. Right now, some of the big numbers that are being put up, Jimmy Crooks, and he had a huge day today, 4 for 4 with a home run, threw out a runner or two as well, was playing really good defensively. Jimmy Crooks so far at Memphis, 8 for 15, a 533 average, and his OPS is almost 2,000. 1811 is Jimmy Crooks' OPS right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah. You keep doing that, you're not going to be at AAA for very long. Blaze Jordan, a 429 average, 1243 OPS. Cesar Prieto so far, he is 8 for 14. That's a 571 average. His OPS is above 1,700. So those are the good stories. The not as good stories, and there's just some irony that goes along with this. Nelson Velasquez, who and I'm not saying the Cardinals fans are wrong in saying this, just because he's not hitting at AAA doesn't mean all that much, but he is literally not hitting. Nelson Velasquez has appeared in 4 games. He is 0 for 15 with 6 strikeouts. It has been a tough start to the year at AAA for Nelson Velasquez. Have a great night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow right here on KMOX.
The pressure on data centers has